Hi, hi. Is things working? Is everything working? I hope so. Hi, Dennison. Hi, it's TA. Hi, French Puff. Hello, Douglas Pendergraft. I'm doing well. I hope you're all doing well too. Yeah. Oh my goodness, look. I'm so big. I'm so big. Look at my hat. It goes off the screen. How you doing, Cuptle? Oh, you know what we can do? Oh, I grabbed him. Yay! Do you like the new Cuptle? Do you like the new Cuptle hug? Cuptle in hug mode. Yay! Oh, look at his little short crust belly. I'm struggling to get gloves on, but I am a bit tired. Did you enjoy the music? Did you enjoy the stream yesterday? The live video will be going up by itself after the stream at some point today. It's already uploaded. It just needs to, you know, come out. Oh, hi, tension and misery. Oh, I am tired. I am not sleeping well. I've heard my cat was just... Oh, she was being mean. My cat was being a big old meanie pants, she was. I was trying, because she kept scratching at my door. I'm like, no. Then eventually I had to go downstairs and just give her some attention while she ate some food. She's such a spoiled Kit Kat. She just didn't want to be alone while she ate her foodie food. Such a big old meanie is my kitty. Oh, but she was just like that for ages and ages. It's a hand cam working. Smash! Wow! Look at that dude. Look at this dude we've made. Yeah, I've been working a little bit. Not as much as I'd like, because I've just been bad. I need to like control myself.
Puff word of the day.
I lost so many hours to show.
The orbital bread laser has successfully destroyed the capital of Ingrid X-19. Another victory. Now to.
Thank you, French Puff. Glad your space stuff's going okay. Yeah, I've been working on these for you guys off stream. Not as much as I like to. Like, I lost just so many hours just randomly watching shorts or YouTube or something. I don't know why. I need to get myself, like, I need to kick myself into gear. That's a term. Need to kick myself into gear. I do like how this looks. I like the tabard. It's looking good. Need to do some, like, maybe some Agvax of Shade and the Gold, some Full White Copper. Get some Balthasar gold here and on the chains. I'm thinking about getting some Wraithbone white, because I think that white is just too bright. Like, just murk it up a little bit and then get some Apothecary white. Yeah, it just feels too bright. And we need to just fix up some places with some Abaddon Black. Do the eyes. Probably do the eyes first. Abaddon Black will probably be one of the last steps, but yeah. Like, it's fine here for super bright white because, you know, it's next to brightish yellow. But I much prefer how this looks, where it's more off-white colour. Hi, Sarah Dwin. Hi, Night Parade. Hello, I like the new model. Unfortunately, I missed the debut live stream, but watched the VOD. Oh, thank you for watching the VOD. I'm a cat. No! Oh, yeah, so the commands are working. There's new commands. In the... If you go into the description, you can see more of them. It's like so many now. You can turn me back into Boss Lady or Boss Chibi. Bossin is still a command. It will turn me into Boss Lady. And then you got a SmolBossin for, like, the small. The Chibi. Oh... Also, I think the hat command works with this thing. Where's one of these buttons? There we go. Yeah. And then what else is there? Yeah, the head pat works here. The head pat works of a cat now. Yeah. Yeah. Look how bouncy I am. I'm so bouncy. I'm so bouncy. I'm so fluffy. Wow. It's not fluff. It's fondant. It's just fondant. Fondant swirls. Yeah. Head pats. I knew it. I keep getting it on cooldown. Time to kidnap a cupcake. No, don't kidnap a cupcake, Blair Boris. Also, hi, Blair Boris. So these three dudes, they're going okay. They're going okay. The green stuff tabards, that one still looks awful. This one doesn't look too bad, honestly. As long as you just don't look at that right at the bottom too much. Like from this angle, the tabard looks fine. This one less so. This one pretty good. But yeah, they're doing well. They're going okay. We got a painting stream tomorrow.
Finally, I can now die at peace.
No!
FrenchPuff.x has turned to crumbs.
No! Don't die. There you go. Oh no. Oh no. There you go. There you go. Drop that into fire. Oh, but yeah, we got Maelstrom Law. We got Maelstrom Law. Can you remember what we were reading last time? Because this was like last week, Monday. Not for Monday just gone, but for Monday before is when we last read this. I think what we've got is, I think it's this one. Is it this one? Raid and Ruin? No, this one's the missions. Oh, in the wrong order. Okay, Lair of a Tyrant. Here we go. Lair of a Tyrant. Don't eat cupcakes. Cupcakes
I want to eat a
friends,
cupcake now.
Hi,
Cupcake
Tony.
emoji.
No, don't eat cupcakes. Oh, where's Cuptle? Bonk. Hi, Cuptle. How you doing? Nah. Looks like my cat that knocked over Avalon Sunset and Emperor Children pink. No, this is just my colour scheme. This is just me
Nom, nom,
colours. No! Cuptle, don't eat the cupcakes. I'm going to need to get used to it. So where were we up to? I know that we're looking at maps and stuff. Oh, we're up to Horan Blackheart. That's who we're up to. Learning about him. Yeah, we learnt about like the different ships he has. I've been looking at BFG stuff. I kind of want to play BFG again. Battlefleet Gothic, that is.
I have returned from hell. Tehei 3.
TE3. Well, look at him. He's Horan Blackheart. Look, he's got a big old smile on his face. He's a happy little chappy. That must have been before he got hit by the big old melter gun to the face. Yeah, if you wonder why it's a big old bionic face, he got hit by a melter gun to the face. I don't know if that's spoilers. Remind them that the tyrant's big guns never tire. Horan Blackheart ordering the crippling broadside at Rector Battlecruiser Gate Warden. Yeah. Oh. But let's read about stuff. We can pet the kitty. You can pet the kitty. Yeah. Hello, Kozalaxa for Swan. How you doing, for Swan? Like what's it called? Skyrim for Swan. I don't care who the Imperium sends. I'm not paying taxes. That sounds like the Skyrim for Swan. They didn't want to pay taxes to the Empire either, especially not to the Jarls. They didn't want to pay taxes to Skyrim. No. And to the Silverbloods, to the Silverbloods. Oh, head pats again. Where did those head pats come from? Here we go. So I am just changing for brightness, setting a bit of a camera because it's a bit too bright, isn't it? Configure video. Let's just reduce that brightness a little bit. Oh, that's not helping that much. Okay. Okay, there we go. If I click this button. There we go. Apply. There we go. That's better. That's better. So who is Herman Blackheart? He's a master of the Red Corsairs. The piratical lord of the Maelstrom is known by many names. Within the Imperium, he was lauded as Vtuber, and then cursed as the tyrant of Badab. He is feared as the Blood Reaver and sworn fealty to the master of the Red Corsairs. Oh, sworn fealty to as the master of the Red Corsairs. Most know him as Herman Blackheart, a supreme raider whose piratical armadas terrorize the Maelstrom and beyond. Apparently, Cuptle doesn't want to say what your message was. Oh no, it's lagging. Oh, is that why? Did we disconnect from YouTube for a little bit?
You know my Groot Warshaper. I removed its double scythe thingy and replaced it with a throwing star. It's now tournament approves.
Yay! It's tournament approved. Nice. Glad your Warshaper works now. Sorry, my internet just died, but I don't think my internet died. I think it was just my connection to YouTube went. But the tyrannical warlord who would go on to rule the Maelstrom was once Vtuber, a heretic who instigated the uprising known as the Badab War. He is named as the last chapter master of the Astral Claws in the expurgated volumes of the Angelus Martyrs. Meanwhile, the Codicles of Valak from the same period condemn him as the insane enemy of holy terror. In lurid detail, they chronicle his descent into tyranny. It is said he demanded authority over other chapters in the region of the Astral Claws homeworld, increased his planetary holdings and the scope of his warriors' remit, threatened the loyal adepts of terror, and eventually withheld samples of his chapter's gene seed for evaluation. Few Imperial commanders then or now doubt Herman's fierce charisma and influence, talents he used to draw not only his chapter into treachery alongside him, but for warriors of 3 others as well. The Tharlaki historians, however, dismiss the Badab insurrection as doomed from the start. They point to the eventual seizing of the Astral Claws homeworld and the driving of the heretic survivors into the Maelstrom as the logical consequences of heresy. Finally, they glorify what they describe as the undeniable accounts of Herman's fall, his inescapable execution by the sainted siege breaker of the Star Phantoms. Yet the so-called tyrant of Badab lived. Oh! Did he die? Yes. But he lived. Why is my tongue not pink? I just realised. No. You know, that head pat's lasting forever. I think it's broken. There we go. There we go. It's got to put a bald spot in my cat head. Vtuber is the goat. Vtuber is the goat. I mean, he doesn't look very goat-like, but, you know, he worships chaos and you know, I've seen the Felgoth. They look very goat-like. Maybe one day he'll become more like a Felgoth. Herman's survival is described by many Red Corsairs as a dark miracle, though never in his presence. Precisely who or what was responsible for this outcome is unclear. One side of his body had to be almost entirely reconstructed with bionic augments, modifications that would later be expanded to include the monstrously sized gauntlet known as the Tyrant's Claw. It's not that big. My My chapter master has a bigger claw. My chapter master has a much bigger claw. Lord Apothecary Garon and Forge Master Falfex are hailed by many as the architects of Huron's resurrection. Indeed, they both remain high in the Bloodreaver favour, when many former astral claws have fallen foul of his wrath. Others whisper Huron's life and perhaps other gifts were granted to him by demonic forces within the warp. Just give me a moment, this thing's getting everywhere. On you. Yeah. Within the warp, some say the dark gods themselves. Change your hair colour. Nice, it is. Hi, Lord Grandmaster. Also, had he waited for like 50 more years instead of instigating a civil war, Guilliman would have given him a shiny medal on him for a good job done. It depends. Like, it depends what accounts you believe, because there's multiple accounts of like exactly why and how he did his treachery. For instance, right here it says that even before he returned fully traitor and like, you know, stopped paying taxes, like the gene seed tax, he was already like kind of corrupt, being tyrannical, demanding all sorts of control over other chapters and doing all sorts of really bad stuff. And the entire thing of, you know, holding your gene seed back. One of the reasons they do the gene seed tax is to test for corruption of your gene seed effectively. Like, if your gene seed's degrading, they might then try to fix the fact that your gene seed's degrading, for instance, taking gene seed from other chapters of the same, what's it called? From the same original legion. Primarch, there we go. That share the same Primarch. You know, to try and fix your gene seed issues. But sometimes they might detect it's being corrupted by chaos. Although sometimes gene seed can be corrupted by chaos and it's no fault of your own. For instance, you live too close to the Maelstrom. You have returned. It's like real history, reading whoever wrote it. Yeah, it's true. So you got the different accounts, and this purposely here says there's many different accounts.
Mother, I did not ask for a brother and it's my turn for being held. He's being held for too long.
Oh, goops. Yeah, you know what? We'll just get Cuptle on the table. There we go. And also, I got too many head pats here. There we go. There we go. You also want OPs. You want upbeat. What? Oh gosh. So yeah, even here it says that stuff's, you know, a bit questionable. Also, hi K-Trax, how you doing? Yeah, right here it says, but you can't really have a fixed history of these things. And when we're looking at this over here, last time, where was it? The Maelstrom. Oh yeah, you get, if it's purposely like loads of contradiction here, like it's talking about this stuff over here, and it's like no one knows what sort of technological thing did something, except when we led later on, and it's like, oh, we know exactly who did that. It was tech priests of the Imperium who did that. But here it says they don't know who did it, but then later it says tech priests did it. Where was it? And if we look at, oh yeah, over here where it's got like all the different stuff, the information here is again contradictory, and the dates it gives aren't, you know, very fixed. There's definitely a purposeful... There's definitely purposeful misinformation within 40k. Dog. Well, Cupcake, you look different. I am different. Hi, Clyde. We had a debut of a new model yesterday. Well, I say one new model. 3 new models, 5 outfits in total. And assuming you count for 2 different colours of the cats as 2 outfits. Yeah. So it depends. It depends. If Harwin was going all tyrannical and corrupt, then Gulliman would have likely, you know, stamped on his face. If he wasn't all tyrannical and corrupt, then Gulliman would have probably supported him. But it depends. It really depends. Like, sometimes Gulliman might have had to stamp on his face anyway, just to, you know, like, he can't just be seen forgiving every single person.
I am still waiting for the night Destria.
Yeah, don't worry. It'll be around soon. I imagine the Adepticon will give us more better dates. And that's in 3 days. Or 4 days. Well, yeah. I don't know, it's confusing. It's confusing, some of this stuff.
Cupcake Conjurer. The not puff word of the day has been delivered by Denizen.
Forgot. You forgot that's a word. Wasn't your word space laser or something? I think it was space laser. Puff word of the day, orbital strike. That was your puff word of the day. How's your day? My day's good. My day's
Cupcake, how your day?
My day's been good. Well, kind of. I've been very tired. But what is there? Oh yeah, Gilliman can't be like seen forgiving every single person, can he? Like, you know, even if they're not bad, but the Imperium is like, no, this person's bad. Gilliman can't forgive them all. Sometimes he has to be like, you know, maybe. Am I crying? No. I thought I saw tears on my model's face then. Love my new model. Thank you. Yeah, so sometimes he might have to just like prove a point to get people inside. So like beating up characters like Horan. Horan might also not like Gulliman being around. On top of this, you say 50 years, but do we actually know it's 50 years? Because I think there's been multiple mentions of a dating system in the Imperium making no sense, which again, this has talked about. Well, I say talked about, but it's been given us dates and it's just like the dates just become confusing messes of numbers. Orbital strike is a detachment. If you want to give deep strike to everyone and their mother, yeah, give deep strike to Centurions. But here we go. While he does not court the favour of the Dark Gods, Herman also does not suppress their worship by foes in his service. Like Abaddon the Despoiler, he seeks to reap the rewards of the warp without ever becoming its pawn. Yeah, good luck with that. All Herman
I have
demands...
crusted a substance that smells like gingerbread. Yet, it has no ginger nor bread in it.
Yeah, I do that type of stuff. Because I can't have things like garlic and onion and a bunch of other foods. So sometimes if I do want, you know, more flavour in my food, I have to like get very creative with trying to mimic it. Yeah. No. As I can tell you, autocorrect didn't. But all Herman demands is unwavering obedience wherever he requires it. At other times, he permits his followers relative latitude to reave and slay as they please. Attempts to exploit this seeming beneficence are crushed in ways that leave none in any doubt as to the limits
How
of their
does your
autonomy.
new model work?
How does it work? It just works the same as like other Vtuber models. It's in Knife 2D. It's got, what's it called? We use VTube Studio, VBridger, and Live 2D. Yay! It's got many, many layers. It's a very big model in terms of resolution. And it's got a lot of toggles. A lot of toggles. Well, not for most toggles, but I can take my jacket off. I can put a hat on. I can take my jacket off. I can take my glasses off. Oh, yuck. What do other buttons do? Cat ears. Devil horns. Yeah. You want to mix ginger water with enough of spice water to make a new spice. Hi, John Axe. How are you doing? For instance, as he swiftly consolidated his power over what would become the Red Corsairs in the wake of his recovery, Horan ostensibly eviscerated 3 powerful subordinates. These warriors had been with him in the final battle of Badab Primaris, where had become aspiring Void Reavers whose ambitions had grown beyond their strength. None of Horan's servants knows whether the flight from Badab Primaris was always fated to end in the Maelstrom, or if some swell of the Gaia enveloped refugees. Although star charts are useless in its depths, some of the astral claws of their navigators may have been able to draw upon experiences from the chapter last fought within its bounds of the Imperium, at least giving them a sense of the manifold dangers they were diving headlong into. There was death during this time. Was death during this time is certain? Oh, that there was death during this time is certain. For the sudden warp tides and power struggles as the war's losers sought to establish a new hierarchy. Despite damaged ships, despite evading pursuing vessels and attempting to steer a safe course through the Gaia's energies and debris, at least some survivors of the Badab War continued to endure. They did so without Horan's leadership, for it was 8 ship days before he could speak following the endeavour to save his life. Many years later, mortal cults would whisper that he steered the survivors to safety through his dreams. But if Horan dreamed at all, in his fugue state between life and death, were visions of plundered wealth, conquest, domination, and revenge against the empire that had wronged him. During the early part of their new existence within the Maelstrom, Horan's limited forces were still significant enough to quickly overwhelm the first pirate stronghold he found, slaughtering nearly all in a matter of hours. The survivors swore allegiance to the tyrant and became his interns, soon learning to fear his fury. What at first could be said to have been an act of survival of warning away others, as yet unseen threats, with a show of strength upon the foes within reach, soon became the seed of the greater and darker dreams. Terror, he realised, was riddled with not only fear of him, but with envy. With more ships and warriors, Blackheart could again build an empire worthy of his rule, and now he would do so in a realm from which the Imperium could not easily dislodge him. Yeah! You made buffalo wings and roast potatoes? Nice! The affairs Horan Blackheart. Oh, yeah. Turn off that light. Yeah! A tyrant up a dab, a tyrant up a dab! I like ginger if you eat too much. Kills your soul. And turns your hair red. I don't think that's true. Although ginger is a bit of a weird spice. Ginger for spice can actually be deadly in large amounts. Apparently, I've heard. Oh. Hi, that guy over there. Just let me yawn. Let me yawn. Oh, big old yawns. You know, this guy says he doesn't worship chaos, but he's actually got a big old chaos plate here. And he's got like this chaosy looking thing with skulls on. For a guy who doesn't care for chaos, he seems very chaotic. But ruling the Maelstrom. Since the first slaughter of pirates and his subsequent internment of other denizens of the Maelstrom, Horan's infamy and power have swelled. He ultimately seeks to master the region completely. But a territory that is so turbulent and huge is surely beyond his iron rule. By the way, have you ever realised how interns, like people talk about interns as if they're just a normal thing, but as I've been replacing, you know, certain words with interns and internment and stuff like that, it made me realise that, you know, that's the exact same words we sometimes use in history books to refer to these kind of things. So really all we're doing is using a word for basically mean, you know... Intern is already a word that's used just to pretty up, you know, S. Ave word. Oh gosh, I went to a store cupcake. Nice. Yeah. It ultimately seeks to master the region completely, but a territory that's so turbulent and huge is surely beyond even his iron rule. I can't stick out my tongue still. If one thing for an armoured transhuman killing machine to dominate a human... It is one thing for an armoured transhuman killing machine to dominate a human deserter or alien marauder in person. It's quite enough to extend that influence across an expansive contorted region such as Maelstrom, with its shifting and hazardous warp routes and innumerable hiding places and ambush sites. Yeah. No, ginger people aren't soulless. That's not true, that's mean. No. No, you're being mean, Denizen, or misery. Cuptle, go and beat up Denizen. Go and beat him up. Yeah. You don't want to mess with Cuptle. Go on, Cuptle. He's teleported to your location. Run, Denizen. Run. He's back. He's back from his bloody conquest. Ah. While the Red Corsairs are the largest coherent forces within the Maelstrom, they are but specks amidst writhing Gaia. Keeping all the other piratical mercenary or instinctively predatory groups in check with these comparatively few warriors, and ensuring such warriors remain loyal across the Maelstrom would be impossible for any lesser ruler. Corvin's success is forged from the breadth of his talents. He wields ruthlessness, personal strength, naval power, adaptable tactical insight, and a gift for leverage and obsession, and skills of those who serve him. To be honest, I don't really think it's that impressive, because if we look at how large his military force is, it's like as large as a blooming Tau Empire. And he's ruling a space that's insignificant compared to the Tau Empire. He's got millions upon millions of, lessers. Where he's got massive fleets at his disposal with giant ancient ships. He's got 20 or 30,000, possibly even 100,000 Chaos Space Marines at his beck and call. Which is a lot of Space Marines. And but he's got tens of millions of guardsmen and equivalent and mutants and Xenos allies and stuff. In terms of military power and capability, it's like the Tau Empire. Ava Wolf, hello! I doubt he has a number of the Tau Empire though. Tau are not large, but they are populated a lot. But not numbers, but I imagine in terms of power, military power, he has something equivalent to the Tau. You have to remember that Space Marines in lore are a lot better than they are in the board game. Like, in lore, 100 space marines have managed to completely upset, like, entire Tau sphere expansions and stuff. And 1,000 space marines have been enough to, like, completely reverse the tide of it. In terms of naval fleet power, you have to remember Tau naval power is kind of pathetic compared to other factions. I wouldn't say pathetic, it's not super pathetic, but they generally have to throw out a lot more ships. They don't have access to the same ridiculous firepower that others do. Their ships kind of operate in the bounds of physics, nobody else's ships do. And he's got things like a Blackstone Fortress, and then some of the just absolutely massive battle fortresses and stuff that you see from the Imperium. He's also got support from alien auxiliaries, just like the Tau do. And he also has like demons and stuff. So in terms of his ability to project his power, he's not going to be that much weaker than the Tau in total. But at least from everything we've read so far, his ability to project power is not going to be much less than the Tau. He's not going to have the same numbers as the Tau, but equally he is in a much, much smaller area than the Tau. Like, the Maelstrom is not as big as the Tau Empire. So the Tau have more numbers, but they're much more spread out as well. And their numbers aren't quite as ridiculous as this. Only a space marines that are bad. Space marines does smash Tau in space. It's not just space marines. I've been looking at like the Battle Fleet Gothic rules, and they're not quite accurate. The Tyranids and the Tau should really be a bit weaker from everything I've read in the lore. And the Necrons and Eldar should be a bit stronger, especially the Necrons should be much stronger in every single regard. But what you generally find is that if you want to make the fastest Tau force possible, and then just went to basic Imperial Navy and said, I want to make the fastest, most nimble Imperial Navy possible, the Imperial Navy will be much faster and much more nimble than the Tau one. On your average, the Imperial Navy ships aren't quite as fast and aren't quite as nimble, but actually, no, they can be faster because they got ramming speed on their side, which allows them to go much faster. But yeah, the Imperial Navy ships are just much tougher. They have much better shields. They have much better range. They hit a lot harder. The only thing the Tau really have as an advantage is their use of missiles and fighters and bombers. Because they got very cheap carriers that they can just spam out, and they can just spam massive numbers of fighters at you. So yeah, the Tau don't have faster than night. They do have faster than night, it's just much slower. But yeah, so the Tau are very reliant on like using a whole load of like fighter craft and stuff and missiles, but you can't. It will generally cost them quite a lot to win any single battle. Like, even if they don't lose their big ships, they might lose their entire fighter and bomber wings. And you can't, if in a long campaign, you can't really afford to keep doing that every single battle. Especially considering that other enemies will just use lance weapons most of the time to deal with enemy ships, or just ram them. So yeah, the Tau aren't very good in space, especially while they might be able to like win individual battles and stuff with relatively little damage to them sometimes. In the greater campaign idea of it all, they do struggle a lot more. Especially since their ships are a lot slower in like faster than night. In like faster than night speed, they're not too bad. They're not good, but they're not bad. But when it comes to faster than night, they're super, super slow, and they have super, super slow faster than night communication. So it can take them an extremely long time to respond to like, oh no, we've suffered massive losses of our fleet and we need to rapidly replace them. Or we need to replace our entire fighter and missile wings. It could take them potentially months to finally get into a position where they know they have to do that and send, you know, new supplies. In addition, trying to replace ships that they lost is very, very difficult. High Fleet Gorgon and the other issues that, you know, they faced when they had to like completely refit the entire Well, not just refit, but replace like the entire fleet because it sucked. It took them like 200 years to do that. It took them like 100 years to recover from...
Help, I accidentally made a paradox liquid. It confuses my nostrils.
How Imperium Wars are firecast smashing guards while Space Marines are trying to counter that while being countered by crisis suits? It depends. The Tau better Air Force in atmosphere. Oh no, the Tau fighters are really, really good. Like, the Tau fighters generally can outperform any other enemy fighter, whether in atmosphere or out of atmosphere, either by sheer number that they will deploy because they use carriers. So generally that's how they'll beat Necrons and Eldar, or just by sheer skill when it comes to things like the Imperium. Not just skill, but well, less skill, but just the fighters are just better. Outside of Space Marine ships are generally better. Like both fighters and shooty and bombers and stuff like that. But again, that's where the Tau just put down more numbers. The Tau faster than light, depending. The Tau do have faster than light. They're just not very. The Tau faster than light is much slower than the Imperium faster than light. It's much slower than pretty much everybody else's faster than light, but it's much more reliable than what the Imperium does. It's not as reliable as like for Eldar and Necrons and Photon, but it's much more reliable. They're faster than light is slow because what they do is, so if the Imperium wants to get from point A to point B, they will just go fully into the warp and just fly to point B. 99% of the time they'll get there within a few days or a few months, depending on how far it is. The Tau want to get from point A to point B. They'll map out a safe path, and what they'll do is they'll kind of skim it against the warp in short jumps, and then another short jump, and then another short jump, and then another short jump. And while skimming against the warp is safer, it's also much slower than moving through everywhere else, than just moving through the warp fully. And they also have very little protection for the warp if they ever do enter the warp. They'll likely get swarmed by demons, so they have to just constantly do these small, very slow jumps. Very slow compared to humanity, like the Imperium. Well, I say the Imperium goes in a straight line. It generally maps a safe warp route, but it's as close to a straight line as they can get it effectively. So the warp route might be a bit like this, but it won't be anywhere near as the generally around the woods route that the Tau will have to do to get to point B. And if there's any sort of like massive warp disturbance, the Tau don't have the ability just to push through it like the Imperium does with their void shields and all sorts of other stuff that they can protect themselves from the warp. And as a suit just push through these warp storms. Instead, the Tau have to go all the way around it. The Imperium also have astropaths that are capable of, you know, risking their lives, but they can get messages through warp storms. We see it in Space Marine 2. The Tau, on the other hand, they can't do that. If they want to get a message through like that, they're going to have to just send somebody on a long journey around to get the message through. At least this is as far as I'm aware. I don't know if the laws changed. I've not like read the most recent Tau stuff. So yeah. The Tau Sky Titans hunting ground titans. Kind of. Oh, don't forget the Imperium does that too. Like you got for Thunderhawks. I mean, we talk about Thunderhawks like, oh, the Imperium doesn't have that many Thunderhawks. You think, no, the Astartes just throw Thunderhawks out like for nothing. Like every single time in lore, they'd like talk about Thunderhawks. The Thunderhawks are just like treated like disposable assets. Even in Space Marine 2, the game and stuff. The Manta is like their workhorse. The Manta is a super workhorse of the Tau. It's not only used to hunt things like Titans. By the way, the Manta is not super good at hunting Titans. It can maybe pull a Warhound Titan or whatever, but you have to remember that Titans have these big old shields on them that are capable of deflecting weapons that are much more powerful than Tau Manta railguns. On top of this, the Imperium generally does not deploy Titans without air support and, you know, anti-air capabilities. Like, you know, supporting for Titans. It's very rare the Imperium wouldn't do something like that. It's not saying that they wouldn't. They do have stupid commanders who would just throw out Titans all willy-nilly and just lose them all. But generally, yeah, they Mantas are massively used in their in space, by the way, to like bombard enemy ships, and they're very, very useful at that. And you generally find Manta swarms are really dangerous. It's not to say that you can't just absolutely decimate them. I was actually testing out in Battlefield Gothic last night. It's like, no, you can absolutely devastate them. Slower but safer, yeah. There does seem to be a perception that the Imperial Navy ships are slow and unresponsive, but that does seem to... Oh no, So if you go by Battlefield Gothic, most Imperial ships have a speed of 160. Most. They have a turning, depending on what size they are, they have a turning, the largest ships have a turning radius of 4, so very slow turning. Smaller ships, you basically double that of each size you go down, or 50% it up, to like, the small ships have like a speed of 24. The biggest Tau ship has a rotation of, Tau ships have a speed of 170 on average, and the fastest get up to like speed 210. The largest ship has a rotation speed of 8, which is pretty decent. But for the fastest ships in terms of rotation, like the smallest ones, are up to like 20. Imperial ships, though, their largest, fastest Imperial ship has a speed of 200. And smaller Imperial ships can easily go up to 240. I think one can even get up to 280. By the time you get to like the fastest rotating ships, you're looking at like they're rotating way quicker than Tau ships. On top of this, almost all Imperial ships have ramming speed, which basically drastically increases how fast they can go to just ram somebody. And basically, they can just put all power to going forward quickly. And this means that the Tau can never really escape Imperial ships, even if they're slightly faster. On top of this, because the Tau Empire ships, all of their firepower is at the front, and very little is at the side or on turrets, the Imperial ships can actually get a lot more firepower while outmaneuvering the Tau. So they can be moving, Imperial ships can be moving like... Actually, let's say if this is a Tau ship. An Imperial ship can be moving this direction, shooting the Tau, and then move around to here. And the Tau ship can't shoot the Imperial ship. The Imperial ship can shoot the Tau. And so it can be constantly moving away while hitting them. Imperial ships also have quite a lot of turrets. I don't think a single Tau weapon has more than a range of 13,000 in Battlefield Gothic, 13,500. Meanwhile, Imperial ships have ranges of 18,000 very, very often. And they have abilities to increase this to like 27,000 with 100% accuracy. Meanwhile, the Tau ship is like a 13,000 max range and it's got 50% accuracy. Yeah, the Tau just absolutely dominates that range. They have to really rely on fighters and bombers and stuff. I was like, hi, Nano Fate! So yeah, Imperial ships are super fast. One of the things is the other thing that the Tau suck at is their hull and their shields and stuff are very, very weak compared to almost everybody else. Even the Eldar in a way. And one of the things is they struggle in like slugfests, especially close range slugfests, since they also have very poor morale in space. And they, as you can imagine, don't do very well in boarding situations. And the Imperial ships can just like... will take advantage of this by just speeding into the Tau ships, either just completely ramming them, or just speeding to the side of them like this, where they've got the full broadside power into the Tau ship, where the Tau ship can only shoot forward. And the Tau can't then turn around and try escaping it, because one, the Imperial ship can still shoot them, and they can't shoot the Imperial ship, but the Imperial ship can just start then moving faster than the Tau ship. either ramming them or just moving past them and then broadsiding them again. Vtau, it's not to say again Vtau are bad, like they just spam out carriers and just completely drown you in fighter craft and bombers, which they're very, very good at. Do SDS combat work like WW1 ship combat in 40k? I don't know. You got Battlefield Gothics is very weird. It's a mixture of like ancient Greek ramming style combat with just ships ramming one another. Ancient Roman trying to board enemy ships, and then more World War One battleships just bombarding one another, to World War Two ships just throwing carriers all over the place and fighters and bombers and stuff. I'd say it works more like WW2 because one of the big things that you have in the game is you don't really know where your opponent is a lot of the time, especially in the computer game. You got a rough idea of where they are, but you don't know what their ships are or anything like that. And as with suit, you have to use all sorts of like Auspex scans and stuff to try and figure things out, or send out like scouting and fighters and stuff, or escorts to, figure out where the enemy is. So, yeah. That's actually one of the issues I found yesterday when I was just doing some testing out, is that because Vtau used fighters all the time and bombers, I didn't actually have much issue dealing with those things. But what I did have an issue with is because they were using them, they could see where my ships were and I couldn't see their ships. So they were shooting at my ships and I couldn't shoot at them, even though I had much greater range. Vtau went into a problem of no matter who they're fighting, someone in the opposing army has been fighting for longer than Vtau have been a civilization. Kind of. Vtau have a few big issues. Are biologically weaker than like every other. Computer. There we go. Hi, I'm back. Hi, back with chat. Vtau have a few issues. Is that one of the issues of Vtau is that they're very weak in terms of like a single Tau versus a single human. I'm not sure how accurate it still is, but it used to be that humans are bigger, taller, stronger, faster. They also lived much longer. Like, you could have guardsmen who have been training and in service longer than most Tau have been alive. Like, most Tau would have died of old age in the just service period that a single guardsman might have. It's also one of the reasons why, despite all the advanced technology, they don't really shoot better than guardsmen. Because guardsmen don't need advanced technology to be able to hit somebody with a gun. But they only need the eyes. But Tau, on the other hand, they have bad vision. They got bad depth perception and stuff like that. One of the things is that they're also quite slow in combat. Like, a human compared to a Tau is like comparing an Eldar to a human. An Eldar is much longer lived than a human, and a human is much longer lived than a Tau. Eldar are stronger than humans. Humans are stronger than Tau. Eldar are much faster, like much faster reflexes, just much more agile than humans, and the same goes for humans to the Tau. Back when we had initiative, the Tau were initiative 2, humans were initiative 3, Space Marines and Eldar initiative 4. One of the other things you'll find is that human material science is far more advanced than the Tau. Like, in the same way that for Eldar, you'll often see them described as their very thin, flexible armor is, like, incredibly tough and powerful for what it is. You will find the same sort of thing, like comparing Tau to humans, in which you look at, like, a human carapace armor and you think, that's not that advanced, but then you just look at, like, how strong and light it is, and then compare just what the Tau need to build to do something similar. The same goes to like when you compare their battle suits to like Space Marine power armor. Space Marine power armor is far thinner, far smaller, and far lighter. Yet it's just as good as a battle suit in terms of like durability. Honestly, better. The same goes to like one of the reasons how ships are so much fragile. In lore, they're much more fragile than they are in a board game. In which Tau kind of go by real life physics. They're kind of bound by like what physics is actually capable of doing. Not so much nowadays, and I think that's partly because we reverse engineered some material science, like that's how they got for big battle suits now. But it's like Imperial ships make absolutely no sense. Like, ignore the shields. The shields are so incredibly strong that you could hit them with a weapon that would devastate a planet, and the ship would just bounce off the forward shields. But let's say the shields completely fail. Join the Exodites. I mean, hi, Bias Bardness Devil. But, oh yeah, so if you end up like getting through an Imperial ship shield and then hit them with your weapon capable of devastating planets, the Imperial ship will likely still be fine. Sigma. Yeah, the Imperial ship will probably still be fine because if it's just made out of ridiculous materials that make absolutely no sense. Like, in the realms of physics, no material should be able to withstand the forces that Imperial ships can just withstand. Meanwhile, the Tau ships, no, they kind of fall apart like you'd expect an actual ship to do. Once their shields fail, that's it for the ship, basically. It might not be that's it for the ship. The old Tau ships are very modular. So if they took like a massive strike, it might destroy a module on the ship, but the ship will be fine. The modern Tau ships are less modular, which allows them to have a lot more firepower and be speedier and stuff. But at the same time, if they take a devastating hit, it's more likely to cause like to take out the ship, in theory. Has to be strong, have to go through space hell to get anywhere, true. But yeah, but that's basically the weakness of a Tau in almost everything they do. Everyone else ignores the laws of physics. The Tau don't. The Tau learned how to read, and they read the laws of physics, and they obey them. Everyone else just looked at the laws of physics and went, I don't know how to read. This won't stop me. But yeah, in terms of Harvan... Anyway, yeah, sorry, I went off on a tangent then. In terms of Harvan's ability to project his power, it's arguably relatively similar to the Tau ability to project the power, at least in the areas of space that he lives in. Oh gosh. He wields ruthless. So anyway, yeah. So I got really distracted then. And what's up with the huge Tau god that defends their Eternals? Yeah, I don't really know about that anymore. In the old lore for Tau, there was Tau were genetically engineering stuff. It was the idea that the casts were all genetically engineered, a bit like Diddle Space Marines are in a way. And Tau were really, really good at genetic engineering. And that's what the Eternals were, not the Eternals, the Ethereal Guard were. At least it was heavily, suggested that was the case. But nowadays, it seems that the Tau are considered really, really bad at genetic engineering. It seems genetic engineering has become the skill of the Imperium, and Tau have lost that skill. So I don't really know about them. We don't really see much about them in lore anymore either. You could always suggest that it's similar to how not every human is built the same. Like, sure, there's some... Your average Eldar is going to be much stronger, tougher, faster, and taller than your average human. But you're going to get humans who are just going to be faster, stronger. Like, actually, in the lore, there are just humans who are just built different. And they can outmaneuver Eldar. More agile than your average Eldar, even capable of keeping up with the likes of Aspect Warriors. And that's just normal humans, so... now I want to be an Eternal. Serials. So yeah, we don't know, but I don't really know about that sort of stuff anymore. They also seem to be going away from the idea that each of the casts are, you know, extremely different from one another. Because it used to be that, like, the Earth, Fire, Water, and Air cast were as different from one another, almost like the things of comparing ratlings and ogrins to humans in a way. But I don't know, for Longshanks and stuff like that. But now it seems that they're kind of going away from that. Like, sure, your Firecast are generally a bit bigger and stronger than your average Tau, than your average Watercast, then your Aircast are generally taller and skinnier. But that's also partly... That's partly, you know, this breeding program that they've got going on, and partly the, just the environments that they live in and, you know, the lifestyles. Of course, a Fire Warrior who trains their entire life is going to be bigger and stronger than other Tau. And the Tau that live in space are going to grow taller and thinner and have weaker muscles. Caiaphas Kane, hero of the Imperium. Yeah, he's one of those people that can, like, keep up with others. But yeah, for Tau lore, I need to read the more recent Tau books and stuff, because they're probably going to have the most up-to-date idea of what the Tau are like. Because a lot of my information, unfortunately, does come from back when they were deciding that... Is it back? It's back. There we go. What's this about melee melters? The battleships use fusion rifles in melee like John Wick now. And they carry fusion blades. Yay! Ethereals and their guards must be different because they used to be significant melee threats on the tabletop. Yeah, the Ethereals were melee threats less because they were strong and fast, except that one Ethereal who is absolutely jacked. But it's because of their honor staff. Basically, they were just wielding a melee weapon that was equivalent to using a maul or a power maul. If they weren't, the Ethereals weren't significant melee threats, but they were... Well, as far as I'm aware, they were kind of dangerous in melee, like, because they could actually hit you in melee. They weren't hitting on 5s, they were hitting on 3s or 4s. And they were generally like strength 6 or strength 8. Originally, if they had power weapons, they just ignored your armor save. And that made them significant threats because, you know, you struggle getting rid of them, and... Because Tau have a 4+ armor save, as generally in melee, they could actually survive relatively long in melee. Meanwhile, the Ethereal could just be like sat behind the other Tau, just punching at you. Just slowly wearing you down while you're trying to wear them down at the same time. And it could make meleeing that squad a lot more costly than you really would like it to be. But that being said, back then the Tau were a much greater melee threat anyway. Because on the charge they'll have 2 attacks each. They had the 4+ armor save, or in the initiative 2, but the 4+ armor save helped make up for a lot of stuff. So yeah. The guards were generally relatively strong. The Ethereals themselves weren't super strong, but the guards were. I mean, it depends. Like, my knowledge of them is 6th, 7th edition. Last I saw them. 8th and 9th edition, they might have been made a lot stronger. yeah, let's read this. Aeldari. In the wake of Herman's recovery from Maelstrom and his consolidation over what would become the Red Corsairs, his steps became dogged by a strange creature. Herman calls the entity the Aeldari, but no one knows what it truly is. But it has a connection to the warp is undoubted. At times it slinks at Harvan's heels, flickers into existence upon his shoulder, or squirms from the shadows cast by foes who displease him. Some call it a genuine demon, one of the countless horrors born of the warp. Others are sure it is a form of neuroemphatic xenos. Garland harbours a suspicion that it is a manifestation of the Maelstrom itself, part guide and part parasite, ensuring Corwin thrives but never strays far from the maddening tides of its origin. Ooh, that sounds cool. Yeah, you distracted me. I mean, I kind of distracted myself with this guy, based on everything else we've read, this guy is like a massive navy and massive military might. His ability to project his powers should be pretty good, even if he was a terrible commander. That being said, he's only got that much might because he's a decent commander and he's very charismatic and stuff. Blackheart's permissive rule sees the raiders and subfleet that serve him free to hunt at whim and even carve out small territories of the Maelstrom, which they viciously defend from other pirates. Okay, so I'm guessing that means he's got a lot of infighting in his army, and that's like how a lot of chaos works anyway. They work with the idea that they want all the people below them fighting one another, so they're going to be too busy fighting one another, to try and take power for themselves of the main person in charge. He's a pirate nation. He is a pirate nation. He also deigns to tolerate other enclaves ruled by foes who have not sworn allegiance to him, or whose presence benefits the Red Corsairs in some way. The Hellforge of Galamek, overseen by the Wordbearers, for example, has reciprocal contracts with Horan, supplying him with warp-infused mechanisms in return for war materials and fresh converts. These activities ultimately serve Horan. Constant conflict serves to weed out raiders who are too weak, as well as commanders who cannot survive rivals. The attacks under his banner cow much smaller warbands, yet to swear fealty to him. The loot Horan's warband sees is also subject to irregular and unannounced tithes to his coffers. The penalties of failing to swiftly supply what Blackheart demands are dire, and so his scattered warriors are driven by threat as well as their own greed. He's become what he sought to destroy! No! He didn't want to pay taxes and now he's become a taxman! He's become a taxman! The hypocrite! Would it be 40k if it wasn't a hypocrite? Horan is not above making allies and convenience with many of the Xenos warbands that weave through the Maelstrom. At times he has employed bands of Groot and brought the services of roving Tamasik. It is a wildly propagated story amongst the Red Corsairs, but he sometimes traded Space Marine captives, prisoners captured during raids, and errant Red Corsairs alike with Drukhari. Their terror raids paid for in transhuman flesh. Most Dark pirate captains of threats to Horan's fleets, but more than one warband of freebooters has been persuaded to strike carefully chosen targets to further Horan's plans. On more than one occasion, Horan has evidenced his underlings a strange connection with the Maelstrom. He is said to be able to sense when his ship is passing its borders or moving from one cursed region within it to another. He has perceived the empiric wakes of the prey vessels, directed his raiders onto ideal interception vectors, and foreseen catastrophic tides that could have wrecked his priceless naval power. Yeah! Wouldn't it be chaos if it wasn't a hypocritical? It wouldn't be 40k if it wasn't hypocritical. Everyone in 40k is hypocritical to some extent, except my boy Gulliman. Oh. Yeah, see, priceless naval power. Some Red Corsair sees these talents as extensions or other gifts often associated with Aeldari, a skittering familiar that attends Horan. These esoteric abilities make for Blood Reavers and his raiding parties undisputed terrors of worlds within the Maelstrom. They have enabled the Red Corsairs to slip back into its depths after raiding much further afield, while any pursuers are often dashed into oblivion by sudden warp tempests. What a success Horan has achieved is undoubtedly incredible, and the cutthroat realm he has hammered into existence is formidable. Yet to claim mastery over Maelstrom, a title often repeated by his servants, is akin to announcing dominion over raging wildfire. The infernal Gaia cannot be tamed or controlled. Its borders cannot be hemmed, its tides cannot be mapped, nor can the planet or warp routes located. One day be sure to be fairer next. What warriors and ships Horan can call upon from his Red Corsairs are vastly outnumbered by the Maelstrom's other denizens. Horan's mastery is knowing all this, in turning it to his advantage where he can, and evading from Maelstrom's insanity and dangers where they threaten his power. From everything else we read earlier, it didn't seem like there were much other potential threats to him other than the Imperium and maybe the Eldar. Girly man has been a hypocrite at times. Oh no, lies! He would never be a hypocrite. I'm joking with you. Oh. Thus far, Blackheart has navigated a narrow path between catastrophe on one side and domination on the other, with the potential for greater power, glory, and renown leading him on as an elusive prize. I thought that said pizza at first. It's an elusive pizza! Horan just wants some pizza! He's trying to find Pizza Express in Domino's. He doesn't know where Domino's is in the Maelstrom, but he'll find it and he'll get himself a pizza. Hi, Camty, how are you doing? Ooh, new model. Back to the old colours. Yeah! So this is actually Feet. Well, technically this is alternate outfit for Feet 2. We had the debut yesterday. Yeah. With the potential for greater power, glory, and renown landing him on an elusive prize, it remains to be seen whether he will reach some point of no return. He is, of course, already damned 1,000 times the eyes of Terra's High Lords, before worse fates of the galaxy than to be condemned by the Imperium and hunted by its armies. For many who say that day has passed long ago. Okay, Garvan for Corpse Master. He's like the least interesting of the guys. No, Katar Kavix is the least interesting. No, Garvan is Soul Eater. Most of Harvan's Space Marine crew that came with him kind of sucked, to be honest. I didn't really like the models. But Garvan for Corpse Master, Lord Apothecary of the Red Corsairs. Garvan is sickeningly eager. Garvan is a sickeningly eager battle surgeon and an unfailingly loyal follower of Horan. Once hauling Blackheart's body back to life, it is said the Corpse Master's foes that in that act he cursed the galaxy with his gruesome skills, talents he has deepened with avid obsession. The secrets of the dead and dying form the realm of Garvan's macabre expertise. His unsettling knowledge has been harvested from thousands of battlefield subjects, and his numerous gore-splattered hideouts across the Maelstrom. In battle, the Lord Apothecary is keen to witness the effects of all traumas, seeking to unpick the mysteries between living and dead flesh, and make himself a master of a barrier between the two. I'm gonna have to get this out now. He is not above inflicting lethal torments himself or carving open a living foe purely to examine the last pulsating quivers of their organs. Nor is it only the enemy that needs to feel the embrace of the corpse masters with the spectrum away. With a leering grin, Garvin gladly descends upon mortally wounded red Corsairs as well.
Congrats on the new model, Cupmoth. Yippee.
Thank you, SW05, and thanks for being a member for 18 months. Yay! I hope you're using that cupcake magic responsibly. Cola! I'm out of cola. I'm gonna get a cola. Yay! And we're back to those emotes as well. Yo, SW for the win. 18 months. Oh my gosh, that's a year and a half. You're well past your expiration date, SW05. How many preservatives have been packed into that one cupcake? Now, that's the thing about being a cupcake mage. You got magic to keep it preserved forever and ever and ever. With a leering grin, Corpsen gladly... Oh yeah, occasionally he can excruciatingly revive those who have suffered the most horrendous, even horrendous injuries. All too often, however, foes on whom he works with. Raft peelers, chem injectors, bone splicers and other implements are reduced to a grisly wreck. Stowing the choicest morsels into cryo canisters for later examination. The Lord Apothecary swiftly moves on to his next patient, sometimes offering a cranial shot with from his absorber bolt pistol as a parting salute. Garvin was the senior apothecary of the Astral Claws. He is one of the few former Battle Brothers of Badab to have survived the catastrophic disaster of the uprising, and the years since have remained in Horan's favour. Most believe this to be no small part thanks to his pivotal role in rebuilding Horan's melted flesh and saving his life. Yet those who know Horan better know his soul has no room for gratitude or sentimentality. In truth, Garvin's use is far more than as a mere sawbones. The Lord Apothecary is responsible for overseeing the Red Corsairs' biological survival. He screens potential recruits on mutations and instability and hungrily looks for new strengths or stranger traits within the varying lineages to add to the store of genetic knowledge. The Tyrant of Badab tactically condones that a portion of newly heretical inductees frequently vanish while in Garvin's custody, in effort to fight in Horan's service. He tolerates the Corpse Master's enthusiastic vivisections and gene manipulations as long as most of Red Corsairs are fit to obey him. Garvin also husbands the dwindling reserves of the Astral Claws gene seed and harvests sources from the battlefield and prisoners to forge new Red Corsairs from aspirant youths. Yeah! Hi Chaplain, how you doing? Looking good? Yeah, thank you! Oh, so this is, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool lore. And the model's not bad. Not a big fan of him personally. I'd much rather we get butcher surgeons, you know, for world eaters and stuff. Although it would be nice to get like a generic apothecary type character for Chaos. Maybe not one that would like bring back destroyed models like the other apothecaries do. Maybe it would give them feel no pain. But just do something. Do some sort of unique thing. Deal focus on gene seed. I don't know how you do that though. Oh, you probably get command points for like your unit being destroyed or something, or if the unit's destroyed within 6 inches of the apothecary. It gets you know, a command point, or maybe objective control characteristics, maybe. I wish I could have a unit of Crook Carnivores now. Yeah, it's a bit weird that they talk about doing other aliens that can join them, but none of the rules in here allow you to ally like crew to aliens into your army. Like, this seems like the perfect book for alliances to be added back into the game. Instead, we got the Crucible of Champions, which is pretty cool, and the new missions are absolutely amazing. I absolutely adore the missions on this book. Oh wait, Chaos Necromancer and Undead Legionnaires. That could be fun. They returned. I've always thought that Chaos should have a Necromancer personally. They kind of do. The Death Guard basically have a sort of Necromancer, I guess, with the Poxwalkery stuff. And the Galapox infected. There's definitely, especially in the lore, a lot of like zombification ideas going on there. Even before the Badab War, Garvin was lauded for his insights and understanding of space marine physiology. His advice was sought by apothecaries of other loyalist chapters and even magi biologists and geneticists of nearby Forge worlds. Before the Astral Claw gene seed tie faltered, he was credited for his battle brother's genetic resilience. It was only after Horan ordered to halt sending samples Imperial scrutiny that claims came to light of anomaly degradation, redolent of forbidden practices of genetic manipulation. Since then, Garwan's morbid interest has been focused on desperately trying to make the best of the imperfect material available to him. Horan's demand for new transhuman raiders are constant. Garwan knows whatever favour he holds in Blackheart's eyes will not protect him if he cannot maintain the supply. True. Well, that's one of the things in Chaos that I kind of find interesting. The lore behind it's not always the best lore, like the Iron Warriors, Demon Cobbler stuff. Well, the things of like Fabius Bio for World Eaters, and even I think the Night Lords had, was it the Night Lords? There's been various things where it shows like how they try getting new gene seed and, what's it called? What are they called? Alpha Legion. For Alpha Legion, like, steal gene seed, I don't know that much. And not just steal it from, like, kill a bunch of Space Marines, steal it. As in, like, they go into the gene seed vaults. Like, go in undercover and, like, take the gene seed. Hello, Eternal Octical, stealing and thieving, yeah! But the World Eaters have their Butcher Surgeons and these, really cool things on the ships of like how they create new world eaters and why the world eaters are like bigger and stronger than before and stuff. It's interesting. It's interesting. I can't remember exactly what the details are, but it's interesting to look up. But yeah, I do get interested in that sort of thing of like how do they get for more gene seed? What's the issue here? I do know some of them just do it the exact same way that the Imperium currently does gene seed. You get some Space Marines, they mature, they'll have 2 gene seed, one in the throat, one in the chest, I believe it is. So one in the throat can be harvested with them still alive. For one in the chest is harvested after they die. I'm not sure if they can regrow for gene seed. But a single collected gene seed sample from a Space Marine can, like, create multiple more Space Marines. It's not like one gene seed creates one new Space Marine. Because you effectively harvest the gland of a Space Marine and it's full of gene seed that can then be used to be transplanted into other Space Marines or grow new organs. From what I've read. So as long as you've just got access to effectively specialized materials to do all of this stuff with, and somebody on the ships, preferably multiple people, have the expertise to do all of that stuff, then in theory, you can just create as many as you want. And Space Marines like the Black Templars and stuff have all of that capability on their spaceships anyway. And other fleet-based chapters. So it makes sense that... And in the Great Crusade, that they made more Space Marines on their ships. So it makes sense that a lot of them will have the ability on their spaceships to be able to just create more space marines. The problem is that chaos corruption messes with the gene seed. Yeah, that's the other problem. That's one of the reasons why I think the Night Lords are actually kind of successful despite how fragmented they are. Because if at least chaos corrupted, they can survive pretty well. The Iron Warrior solution was basically making a factory to mass produce chaos space marines. Yeah. Zombie Horde sounds so fun to fight. Oh yeah, like the chaos corruption is the biggest issue they face, which is why now things like Alpha Legion Night Lords, to some Iron Warrior warbands and places like Fabia's Spile are generally the ones that are most likely able to create more space marines. It's not just being chaos corrupted though, it's like being in the vicinity of the Eye of Terror for Maelstrom and these other warp areas. Warp saturated areas rather, is a good way of getting your gene seed absolutely messed up even without falling to chaos yourself, which some loyalist chapters also find. So yeah, the other thing is that natural degradation does occur for gene seed, especially over time, and this is why this is one of the important things for Tithe. You constantly have to be accepting. Yeah, you have to constantly be giving gene seed to the Magos to overlook to make sure it's not degrading. And if it is degrading, they can do stuff. Usually this is taking gene seed from people who haven't degraded quite so much, like other chapters, and mixing it in with your own chapters. Generally from your own oh, what's it called? Your own Primarch? But the other thing that they can do is that they usually store all of your old gene seed tithes. And what they'll do is go, oh, you're starting to degrade. We've got a bunch of your old gene seed here we've been keeping in storage for a long time. And it's not been degrading. So here you can have this stuff and we'll rebirth your chapter with it. So that's generally what they do. Space Marines will also often do that. You'll find like places like for Ultramarines and stuff they'll have these massive stores of like old gene seed that's uncorrupted, that undegraded. And every so often when, you know, if they do start noticing degradation, they'll bring out some of the old stores. Yeah. I don't know if they can harvest gene seed from a living space marine multiple times, but if they can, that's another way they could potentially avoid degradation. And then Honsu went off to make the Demon Cobbler. Coincidence? I think not. Not for Demon Cobbler! Iron Warriors also steal gene seed from loyal chapters. Honsu is a chimera of Iron Warrior and Peel Fish. Yeah! That's what most of them do. Most of them don't even have much of their original chapter's gene seed anymore because they've been stealing it all the time. And a lot of warbands will also have, you know, characters from all sorts of different legions. Like the Black Legion, they've got World Eaters, they've got Thousand Suns, they've got all sorts of people within their legion. Arguably very little of it is just Horus's gene seed anymore. Oh yeah, News Me and a friend are currently making a new faction, Separatists. The mix of gene seed cultists and chaos cultists with a drop of God. Basically, it's regular citizens that want out. That sounds cool. It's a bit like what this is kind of focused on. You know, with the new data sheets of chaos, which is chaos space marines that, you know, aren't actually chaotic. Let me get a drink. Blood Legacies. The threats and obstacles to Goran's success are numerous and dire, but the Red Corsairs are better equipped than most to meet them. They at least have the numbers and ships to hunt down and steal esoteric biomaterials and tools needed for their complex surgeries. Supplies which loyalist chapters either manufacture themselves or have reliable treaties of local forge roads to supply. Imperial's chapters have ancient rights to worlds on which they recruit new aspirants, something traitors must seize anew. Loyalists also have the infrastructure to ensure the apothecaries are all ritually trained in the surgical and genetic practices their calling requires. The varied origins of the warbands warriors may bring an injection of fresh skills, but they also bring new problems. Space Marines of different genetic lineages have differing biochemical needs or deficiencies, which a warband's amateur shearguns are unequipped to deal with. It is no wonder, then, that some renegades are forced to seek out services of mercenary dealers in arcane surgeries, such as those within the Dark Mechanicum, which we do know the Dark Mechanicum exists in the Maelstrom, and they supply Horan. Because like we said that earlier, figures such as Fabius Bile or Goran are even have to resort to treatying with Xenos or sorcerers. As the most infamous and powerful band of the Maelstrom, the Red Corsairs attract many heretics who have abandoned their chapters and stray into their territory. Lesser warbands are not so lucky, often slowly shrinking in numbers until they can no longer survive, more than minor raids. Most vanish, their corpses and assets picked over by their killers. Others are simply subsumed into their conquerors' ranks. Look at all this stuff. Silly stuff. The Demon Cabler just feels really dumb. Yeah, the Demon Cabler wasn't very well received. Qatar Galix, the headsman. Where others seek renown, ships, weapons, or esoteric resources as prizes for their piracy, Qatar Galix is an executioner whose simple drive is to take heads. He cares little about whose or what necks he severs them from, only that they end with unspeakable finality. You know, if that's all he is, I don't know why you got so much stuff here for him. Look at all those heads. Acts of ending. The piratical and unimaginative Gyrax does not care to name his tools of murder. Some Red Corsairs, however, grimly call his enormous executioner's blade the axe of ending. Not only for the lives it cuts short, but also for its cauterization of any further betrayal. When activated, its blade is wreathed in a ferociously violent disruptor field. This energy tears open armor and flesh on contact to leave horrific wounds that are more like gaping bloody crevices than cuts. Okay. Yeah, I think he was possibly one of the more... he's the model I like the least of Horan's Inner Circle. You can barely see it with the blooming light. I think this one's the least imaginative of them all. But I don't dislike the model. I just think it's kind of boring for like a unique character. This is boring for a unique character and just very poor pose, and I don't really like the sculpt. This guy, he's fine. I'm just not a big fan of this design myself. Just get a Master of Executioners and go from there. Executions. Normally, you're trying to proxy other stuff into an Master. Horan Blackheart's model is amazing, though. I definitely think she is really, really cool. And the big old alien is also cool. Are your cat eyes really showing you a new model? What do you mean cat eyes? They're not cat eyes. Look. For big old sparkly sparkles. For big old sparkly sparkles. Yeah. Bong. Mm. Mm. No, just shattered portals to the cupcake realm. Yeah! No, I can't remember how big I'm meant to be on screen. Bonk. There we go. Oh, that was mean. Poke. Did you try poking me in the eye? Thankfully, I've done for my eyes are popped us to a cupcake realm, so it's fine. Your tongue reminds me of candy. I mean, it's meant to in a way. My entire design is meant to be kind of reminiscent of, you know, certain sweets. Originally, my design was meant to be pastel yellow and pastel pink. So the headsman is a cold-hearted unaliver who has unalived for Horven since the days of Badab War. He possesses immense strength and skill that enable him to wield his two-handed power axe with a deftness at odds with its size. You don't really get that from his model at all, or even this art. While he has beheaded loyalist imperial officers, highly skilled and ferocious Xenos warlords, and the champions of the Dark Gods, to Garrix falls the responsibility of lopping the head from the enemy army. At times, he has led strike forces of Red Corsairs that target a strategic command post of communications arrays. The Executioner has even instigated the severing of reinforcement routes by direct bombardment, or those choking or bleeding them by throwing massed mobs of mortal followers into their path. Although Garrix's tactical competency is adequate for such missions, it is the besting of those champions in savage acts of butchery and bloodshed, in which he truly excels. Garrix was once a battle brother of the Executioner's chapter. That makes sense. While we followed the surviving traitors in their flight, it was not through loyalty to Horven, fervent belief of a heretic's cause, or even hatred for the Imperium. The opportunity to wet his blade with the blood of worthy opponents again and again is all he had come to relish. You're basically a Khorne worshipper at that point, even if you don't worship Khorne. In the traitors he saw a brotherhood uncosted by Imperial dogma, who could gift him with limitless prey. In the years since, it has become a feverish obsession that cannot be sated for long. So yeah, he is basically just a follower of Khorne, whether he realises it or not. Horven sees that there is always a neck ready for his axe. Garrix is a valuable tool for Blackheart and a moral killer with a commendable lack of introspection.
Cupcake! Yay!
Congrats on your new model Cupcon. Looks great.
Thank you, Tor. Also, hi, Tor, and hi to Lan. How's the law going? It's going. We've not read very much. We started talking about Tau for some reason. But hi to Lan, hi Tor. Thanks for being a cupcake mage of 23 months. Oh my, it's lucky you got magic to keep you preserved for that long. My goodness. Hope you're using that cupcake magic responsibly. Also, big love hearts to you. Oh. By the way, I just want to make sure. Did the normal overlay mix it up? Did the audio for mix it up work properly then? Like, did you hear the yay and stuff when the cupcake mage thing happened? Did you hear the notification? Because my audio stuff, it did good. My audio stuff decided to go all weird, so it's hard to tell what's happening with it sometimes. But yeah, there was a type of starburst that was double flavour, and one of them was lemon and blackcurrant. That's the colours. Oh, how we all doing? We're doing well this evening. Yeah. Two-tone tongue is very funny. Reminds me of those sour lollipops. Yeah. Okay, I'll stop distracting you. Gotta get these things finished for our Tuesday game. Still listening, but cheers. Good luck. Stuff done, Chaplain. Oh, and I just died. My internet is terrible today. Go on, internet. There we go. There you go. Internet. Yeah, internet's working. Internet's everything but reading for laws, shaking my head. Wait, glasses is a command. How did glasses command actually work? Chat. Commands. Glasses isn't a command. How did that work? Or did I just take my glasses off and forget to put the glasses back on? Is that what happened? Did I just forget to put the glasses back on? Oh gosh. Oh, but where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Herwin sees that there's always a neck ready. Garrix is a valuable tool for Blackheart, an amoral killer with a commendable lack of introspection. The mere threat of him arriving unannounced upon the bridge of some overambitious reeve captain. Gatwick's followers already have secured all means of escape, keeps many red Corsairs in line. Hovan knows that his headman loyalty endures only so long as the master of the Maelstrom shows strength and provides a steady stream of victims of the axe of ending. It is frequent, therefore, for Garrix to accompany Hovan on all of his master's vicious raids, to be given limited commands of his own while Hovan has less violent matters to attend to. His master knows Garrix will wield his axe for whoever gives him the greatest opportunity to swing it. Hovan would likely be the first to feel its bite if he ever fell in the headsman's estimate. Do you think he could actually beat Hovan in a fight? I don't think so. This loyalty reward. Vtuber for Maelstroms would seem that Vtuber for Maelstrom would seem a paradox to many who have had but the briefest dealings with its denizens. Treachery, betrayal, and double dealings are the watchwords most of the region's inhabitants live by. Even amongst the Red Corsairs, loyalty is not something to be treasured, honoured, or even earned. It is an asset, and like all assets to those reavers, it is to be taken where it is of use, or defiled where it serves the enemy. Horan's power base is built upon warbands of traitors with countless origins. The Red Corsairs cannot rely on the brotherhood and shared genetic heritage that binds loyalist chapters. Strength and skill in battle, ruthlessness and viciousness are all traits grudgingly respected by the Red Corsairs in their commanders. Those who serve well expect opportunities to indulge their obsessions. This might be to slay in the first wave of the bloodiest boarding actions, to take the head of particular foes whose existence grates upon the warrior's souls, to seize power and glory by murdering their way up the rank of several manias, delusions, and dark passions. You know, the Red Corsairs, as much as they claim to not be chaotic, sound more and more like they worship chaos every single day. Like, remember, to empower the chaos gods and to be empowered by them, you don't have to worship them. You kind of just have to indulge in your obsessions. When such warriors fall in the sometimes arbitrary expectations of their commanders or peers, the results are typically fatal for one side or the other. Hovan cares little about the deeds of individual Red Corsairs, and far less about the fates of his human and alien foes. He ensures that his comrades, however, are seen by all to receive their deserved reward. We do a little bit of chaos. They do a little bit of chaos. Garvix is Horan's preeminent executioner. His axe reserved for the most high-ranking failures. His prescience during stratagem parlays in trophy-hung ship bridges. It is seen by inexperienced pirate lords as ceremonial. Until that is the moment Horan gives a minimal gesture towards the object of his displeasure. In an instant, the headman starves over a hololive table or overturns tactical displays, trampling serfs too slow to flee from his path and bludgeoning aside unworthy bodyguards. To hack the offending reaver's head off in a spray of blood, ceramite, and ceramite splinters. Such acts do more than hyper-indoctrinated obedience sermons at reinforcing Blackheart's authority. Could you imagine if he tries that and just he gets killed? Like, imagine just saying that to just a reeve captain who's, you know, extremely experienced, extremely skilled. And, like, he's like, I've got to cut your head off. And instead his own head just lops to the floor. If I was writing this character, I'd probably have him killed off like that. Having Horan would be like, maybe you're more useful than I expected. Because so far, all this is just saying the same thing over and over again. He likes to kill people. This disloyalty, it's just the same thing. It's just this disloyalty to keep people in line. This guy, this sentence summed him up perfectly, and each of these is just a long-winded way of saying this couple of sentences here. There's a bit more here about just in general how they are disloyal and stuff, and it's difficult to keep control, but we've kind of got that thing already between here and here. Like, it's a very, very boring character. Like, at least this guy, you had more of, like, a history. I mean, he did have a bit of history here about why he turned traitor. Okay, this one's fine. Some of this paragraph's fine. Well, at least this guy had a bit of a longer history and, like, his importance of his role and, you know, all the gene seedy stuff. As well as just, like, his craziness in general. And his, like, reforging of Horan Blackheart. I mean, it sounds kind of cool, but maybe I'm being a bit too judgmental of it. Horan is served by many lesser executioners, honoured to take the schools of foes, not even fit to receive a personal sentence of a tyrant. Some of these operate clandestinely, serving as a line warrior amongst the warband, or one whose actions are under consideration. When the time is right, they will deliver Blackheart's verdict, often in a mundane or an unseen way as possible, without even the spectacle many red Corsairs have come to expect from the Maelstrom's rough justice. Just as the fate of the lowly failures to die anonymously and with as little acknowledgement as possible. Sounds like a discount version of Khan the Betrayer. I don't know, he just sounds like a generic master of executions, to be honest. If anything, he sounds a bit like a discount one of them, because, like, any sort of named master of executions generally gets given a personality. Like, even if it's just a minor one, if they get given a bit of personality and for a master of executions, this guy's just a master of executions, and that's it. His personality is just being a master of executions. The most interesting bit here is the fact that he would execute Horan. But honestly, his capability of doing that, I put massively into question. Like, would he be able to defeat her? I honestly question his ability to defeat other reeve captains. But yeah. Like, I was expecting with his skull helmet that he was, like, once a chaplain or something, and we're going to have a bunch of stuff about, like, his further and him being a chaplain. I thought that might be cool, but he's very one-dimensional, which has been kind of common in 40k, but could be a bit more. Oh, look! Cinchian stuff behind this dude. Okay, let's look about Garlon Soul Eater. The Tyrant's Witch. A witch? No, a wizard. A warlock. Amongst the many psychers in Horan's inner circles, none are as powerful, subtle, or unreadable as Garland's Soul Eater. He is a master manipulator and a devastating sorcerer, as he grants his empiric insights on the arcane and malefic to further the Red Corsairs' masterful raids. Garlon is the former librarian of the Mantis Warriors, and one of the traits... Oh yeah, and that's the other thing about this dude. He's some of the blooming executioners. He's literally a master of executioners who was once an executioner, who likes executing people, and he just wants to execute people. And he's used to execute people. He's so stupid. I thought I heard my name. Oh yeah, chaplain isn't just generic chaplains. Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, well, he's got a very bland background for a very bland model. So let's see if this guy's... Oh, I like that art for this dude. That's some really cool art. I'll turn this light on, will it be better? A little bit. Oh. Your mind is a grimoire I can peruse at whim. Let us see what dark dreams can be leveraged to my advantage. Ooh. Okay, this guy sounds cool already. Of Mantis Warriors, and one of the traitors who fled with Herwin into the Maelstrom rather than face Imperial judgment. He is Herwin's principal conduit with the warp, but the Red Corsairs are hunting psychically saturated artifacts. It is Garlon. Wait, Garlon? Gavix? And... Does he just like people off a name G in their name? Garion, Gavix, Garlon. It's what's her name? Gota. Okay, this one doesn't seem to have a name, just the enforcer. Hi, Nauru Tails, how you doing? My mind is a pamphlet at best. That's the best response I could possibly think to that. He likes to end people. Now spread that over 2 pages. Yes. Yes. Oh, but anyway, back to the interesting guy. What's this? What's this? What's this? Who fled with Herwin into the Maelstrom. When the Red Corsairs are hunting psychically saturated artifacts, it is Garlon that a wise reef captain turns to track its spoor or warn of its danger. Ooh, that's cool. So this isn't just like saying, what's his name? Herwin Blackheart, personal person. No, this is who the reef captains all turn to. That's cool. On raids where prey fight back with empiric technology or sorcery, it is Garland who outmaneuvers them with his witchery or unpicks their spells with his psychic hood. Should the malefic entities of a warp need to be treated with, conjured or dominated, Garland is Horan's mouthpiece in the Empyrean. He is more dangerous by far than a mere auspictor of the Infernal. Soul Eater possesses or perhaps projects the deep and sonorous voice of a born orator. But his most dangerous tool is his mind. He is a cruel and manipulative spy master. See, this guy is already way more interesting. Like, he's not just a sorcerer, he's a spy master, he's an orator, he's got a bunch of stuff going on. And Horan's primary provider of enemy intelligence. He can ferret out disloyalty amongst Blackheart's pirates, exploit obsessions to instigate mutinies against disfavored lieutenants, and trial prisoner schools for defense networks and vulnerabilities. Garland can reach into the consciousness of a foe and twist them in like a master puppeteer. Yeah, this is different from your typical sorcerer character. Like, they're not just saying, oh, he's a super powerful wizard. He's got a special thing he does, which other wizards also do. But he's like a Jedi! He's got Jedi mind tricks! Oh, because they tried doing that in Clone Wars, where they needed a prisoner. And they need information, so they do an entire thing of, you know, you will tell us the information. Or whether he tried to prime someone's mind. That's cool. At Dolores Reef, he dominated the gunnery crews and Peel's warships, causing them to fire on their own allies. On Javnek Betty, he implanted murderous treachery into the minds of the Astramonitorum garrison. 3 officers had their throats cut, and the resulting lengthy purge and regimental dismantling so weakened the defences that they subsequently fell to the Red Corsairs in a week. It is whispered amongst the most incautious, those newly over the Horan's surface, that no Red Corsair has ever seen Goran Soul Eater's face. This is untrue, but it serves the sorcerer's purposes to have others never quite know who or what they are dealing with, as well as never knowing the full substance of his many schemes. It has, however, been many years since Garland last removed his helm. Others amongst Horan's aides believe he no longer can, though whether it is because of rampant mutation having permanently fused him with his armour or some unseen darker fate, none of them know. Okay, this is interesting. I like this dude. But he isn't an Ultramarine. He'll be forgotten by Games Workshop next time they release a book he could be in. And maybe. I don't think much of Goran's... not Goran. Horan's new characters were super well received. I think the best received one is the woman and the surgeon. So next time we do get a release of them, I imagine that those might be the returning characters. One way or another. He also has much less actually written here, it feels like, than the 2 pages here. But it says a lot more on these 2 pages. Empiric insights. Based as they are within warp wheel space interstices, the Red Corsairs must constantly resist the corruption of the Imperium. Renegades in such a region must contend with a subtle twisting of perceptions or spreading mutation, but much swifter threats such as much swifter threats such as the attacks by demons. The shifting tides will warp, and the psychic abilities of rivals of those hunting them possess a threat that even a heretic space means transhuman physiology cannot combat. Successful warbands frequently include sorcerers to interpret and guard against many such threats. Like Garland, these may be former librarians. Others are warriors mutated by the warps as strange gifts or bearing boons for dark gods. Some warbands cage cabals of mortal psychers, using them as sacrificial earthing wads, or as unwilling hosts in which to capture demons to do their bidding. Ooh! So that's it. That's not even information about Garland at that age. It's just literally that. I need to like close my eyes. Rest them a little bit. There we go. It just gives us information about the different magics that people do. This is a cool guy. Okay, now Captain Sagata, the commander of a Reign of Spite. I like how they've been... So this is basically, as far as I'm aware, a discount version of, Khan the Betrayers. Not Khan the Betrayer, Angron's captain of his ship. Literally, again, a captain of a ship who was a woman who's really cool that Space Marines kind of fear. And they decided to give her a model on foot. Or at least they gave her, like, a little platform to fly around on. Wielding authority and power. Although she does look really cool. I like the white and black hair on her. I'm sold by more women. Yeah! I really like the design of it. Oh, look, Servo Skull. With spikes, because chaos, you know? Wielding authority and power, and even the trust of Horan in qualities few of his transhuman servants can claim, Captain Sargot is a hugely experienced fleet master, responsible for some of Red Corsair's most overwhelming victories in the sphere of void warfare. Captain Sargota is a far greater shipmaster than any ragged pirate lord serving the master of a Maelstrom, They really seem to be going all in on female captains of ships recently. Because, I mean, obviously you got Angron's person. I can't remember her name. You got Sagota here. And I've been listening to... Oh, what's its name? One of the 3 books that have been released on the Black Library website. Oh yeah, Black Library app. There's a bunch of free audio and ebooks you can get if you download the Black Library app. But yeah, I've been listening to one of them, and it's again got a female captain and her second in command of a ship. It's like, it's cool to see more women and stuff. All of whom she despises. Wait, what's this? When any ragged pirate lord serving a master of the Maelstrom, all of whom... Oh, so she despises the other captains. She is also more capable in the art of void combat than most of Horan's renegade lords. While his reeve captains specialise in conducting planetary combat drops and boarding actions, it is Sagota that Horan often turns to for expertise in fleet-level engagements. Few of Horan's transhuman warriors have experience in such strategies, and Sagota's implanted neuron augments enable her to parse spatial orbits and find solutions as swiftly as many bridge cogitators. Oh yeah, that's another thing that was in the story I was listening to, in which she also had like a bunch of implants in her brain, and she was basically controlling them with her thoughts and her eyes. And she was communicating with other ships, like using her... Again, just her thoughts. That's really interesting. It's like, oh! Like, almost very, very quick, instantaneous communication, absorbing of information. This just tells you that women in 38,000 years are way better with space boats than men. Maybe. Maybe it's because all of the good men keep getting turned into space marines or dying in their attempts to. Either that or they become commissars. Oh gosh. She masterminds interceptions as well of the well-defended Imperial convoys, as well as planetary blockade strategies and man-defiled emergency strikes. So outside of the fleet chapters, like the Black Templar and the Imperial Fists, as far as I'm aware, most of the Space Marines don't actually do a lot of commanding of ships very much. They'll often have more to come, at least as far as I'm aware, because you often see them speaking to admirals in the stories. Outside of a few chapter masters and stuff that aren't fleet-based. But you'll often find them working with admirals, tech priests and stuff, rather than commanding the ships themselves. And the people who command the ships often have all sorts of implants that the Space Marines themselves won't or don't have. You will sometimes see it with marshals. I think that's one of the things about, you know, if you look at martial models, they have these weird things on their heads, like around their forehead and over their eyes and stuff. And I think that might be the same sort of, you know, uplinks that allow them to communicate with ships easier. Because obviously being fleet-based, that's something they will inevitably have to do, even if they do prefer fighting on the ground. Even Mel, that was good at piloting, got sucked into the Hawk Lord Space Marines, I guess. Every male. Maybe. I know that the Black Templars and Imperial Fists are very good commanders of fleets, but that's expected. But I think they also want to do that sort of thing of, throughout most of their thing of the Imperial Navy, Space Marines haven't been significantly better than like the rest of the Imperial Navy. It's been something where their ships are more different rather than actually better. They're designed for boarding actions, like they're going to be much tougher, much thicker, and they're designed to get very up close to the enemy to do boarding actions and to, you know, orbital deployments and stuff. That's the one thing I think about the Space Marine ones versus Imperial Navy, but Imperial Navy ones or ships are generally just as good as the Space Marines. And the commanders are going to be just as good as Space Marine commanders usually. In part because the ships themselves are not commanded just by one person, but by entire teams of people who are generally uplinked to the ships and stuff. And like entire fleets are kind of uplinked to one another. Well, the ships within a fleet are linked to one another. Space Marines went first Punic War with space combat and just turned it into melee combat. Kind of. Although the Imperial Navy also just likes ramming things. Like, that's why they have those weird prows that look like from old Greek ships, because they literally just ram enemy ships. Which I find hilarious. But yeah, the Space Marines are... I don't think the Adeptus Mechanicus do boarding actions. They kind of suck at it. As you can imagine, Space Marines are amazing at it. Kroot are relatively good at it. Who else is? The Dark Eldar are very good at it as well. I don't think they're quite as good as Space Marines. You got different ways of like being good at combat. Space Marines, their like boarding action capabilities are still relatively random, but there's like it can be very, very high damage output that they do. I feel like Admech would lose half of their spindly little limbs if they tried boarding anything. It does, and most of the Battlefleet Gothic stuff off of Admech like is ancient lore. Like Battlefleet Gothic I think died out long before Admech got proper models. But Admech would actually be really good in boarding actions, I imagine, because like that's one of the things that Cataphon Breaches are meant to do, and like the Skitarii and the Ardex, some of their servitors and stuff, like you got the sterilizers and stuff like that. We've got a lot of specially designed units that should be really, really good in boarding actions, and are theoretically designed for boarding actions. But all of this came out like long after Battlefleet Gothic had died off. So yeah. Oh, wait a minute. There's weird things happening. Stream avatars. What's that? There we go. Sorry, just had a notification of stream avatars. But it's fine. So what's this? She masterminded interceptions. She masterminded interceptions of well-defended Imperial convoys, as well as planetary blockades and Mandeville emergency strikes. Her long decades of battle-run experience as an Imperial officer amongst Battlefleet Solar, Battlefleet Solar, has been honoured to a blooded razor's edge, and she turned traitor and joined Owen's Reavers. Makala Yolos Banistra on Sagata, the 21st is that? Was born into an aristocratic dynasty of the Sol system. Her lineage said to go back millennia, so some of the greatest Saturnine Void Masters. As a result, Sagata learned from an early age to negotiate the vicious pot-licking and assassinations of naval nobility. Politicking. Though she rose steadily in seniority, it was not swift enough for her liking, and she became even more active in seizing glory and victory at others' expenses. Though she had wronged and fought out maneuvers struck back at her while she was recuperating from fighting off heretic boarders who had almost seized her ship's bridge. These political and professional enemies took the opportunity to paint the boarding incident as an unforgivable failure. They cast her from ship command and out into some backwater in the Gothilius subsector, where the chances of power and authority would be nil. Mere months later, Gothilius' naval headquarters at Skoland was invaded. Its commander slaughtered and its ship's crew spirited away by pirates. Subsequent investigation shows Sargat had transmitted the base's command codes to the raiders, leaving it vulnerable. The murder of thousands and the theft of billions of tons of material, what was later known as the Scarland Infamy, were the final betrayals of her oaths as an Imperial officer. She has committed worse atrocities since. While she now commands the Reign of Spite, one of the most potent battle cruisers in all of Horan's fleets, Sargata's titles and responsibilities in his service extend far beyond the rule of a single vessel. I do wonder why they are bringing, Admiral's characters into the board game. Like, what? Like, they don't do boarding patrols anymore? Like, that's not really a game mode that 40k does at the moment. They do combat patrols. But yeah, I wonder why they've now got them on foot. Like, why are these admirals coming down onto the ground? Maybe it will say here. Extend far beyond the rule of a single vessel. She is his go-between with a turncoat naval officer, supplying Horan with intelligence and coded signals, systems and vulnerabilities, and prospective betrayers amongst rich officers whose ambitions can be exploited. She is unafraid to speak her mind to Horan's reef captains and other transhuman lieutenants on matters of void combat, at least when they are not aboard her ship. Sargata has never abandoned the inflexible standards and arrogant pride of her origins, and radiates a cold nobility despite the piratical trappings she wears. Boarding actions still exist. They do exist, but they don't really do them anymore, like self stuff on them. I'm actively assembling a combat patrol. I feel seen. Yeah, we can see you. Cuptle, teleport to the position. Oh, come back. I can lick Cuptle's head now. Tastes like turtle. Oh gosh. When the word Corsairs strike at the prey, Captain Sargata has been known to leave her bridge and accompany them in person. She glides into battle aboard a servo platform, the Missenroll Dias. Its tentacular cables can be activated to parasite the control systems of enemy ships, as well as mechanisms of surface installations and logic cores of war engines. Okay, so that makes sense. She goes into the battle. Because the entire point is raiding Imperial outposts and stuff. So the ability to overwhelm the outposts, like cybersecurity, is important. And she can do that. Should enemies somehow cut their way through her crews and guards, the captain draws her heavy power saber and ornate last pistol ready to repel from the sneer of imperious hatred, twisting her features. Mastering the void, the Red Corsair's strength is built upon its indomitable naval power, and Horan spends a lot of resources on maintaining and growing it. Captain Sargata is amongst those whose expertise serves Blackheart in identifying vessels and officers, and will be useful to him. Also taken out for BFG while I was prepping dinner is mean. I'm sorry, we've been talking about BFG quite a lot today. I'm thinking about playing the game again, for a computer game. But yeah, this is... Maybe one of the ways that she stays important is that no one else knows how to use her special little, thing that can hack Imperial security. She assesses the competence of Horan's other mortal shipmasters, and while her obsessive contempt for rivals has seen some killed at her hand.
When you hug me and look down at the book, you look scared of the words.
Yeah, because the words are scary! Don't judge me. These warships often spread... What's this? Her obsessive contempt for rivals has some killed at her hand. Blackheart sees such losses as a price worth her loyalty. These warships often spread throughout the Red Corsairs fleets to serve in straightforward roles in their constant raids. At other times, Hoven needs mass conveyor barges and troop transports to carry regiments of Militarum traitors on macro tankers to haul fuel. Merchant craft are targeted that can be fitted with hidden weapons or serve in roles such as fire ships, as disposable tonnage to be thrown at foes in fleet engagements, or to be subtly added to prey systems' regular shipping, silently gathering data that will leave roads vulnerable. More vessels are gifted to Hovens sometime. Allies, payments of their contribution to the Red Corsairs raids, though there are tales of some harbouring repayments of betrayal in the form of vortex mines. Cuptle, protect me from the scary words. Cupcon definitely sauce, trust me bro. Yeah, words are scary. Words are scary. Look, it's Chaos Predator back there. Can you see it? There's a Chaos Predator, you can barely see it. And there's a Land Raider, there's a Rhino, and there's the Kroot. Definitely a Kroot. Definitely Kroot power fist, definitely Kroot shotgun. Oh, that was the most disappointing model for Tau fans. The Enforcer, Hoven's Prey Taker. There we go. A Talirian bounty hunter known as the Red Corsairs as the Enforcer is a dogged stalker. Ha! Dogged. Get it? Because they kind of look like a reptile dog, and we got a little reptile dog there. It's a dogged stalker and butcher of those who fail, haul run, and attempt to flee. She is also a brutal disciplinarian amongst her senior accomplices, ensuring their obedience through acts of exemplary violence. Yeah, like we can have Xenos in the chaos other than this one model. Amongst her own kind, the Enforcer possesses a name that translates into something approaching Kodher Sogka, a designation that references a species' intricate familial naming conventions. However, most Red Corsairs have neither a capability nor inclination to pronounce her guttural and complex sounds required. Thus, the Enforcer has become known, almost mythologized, purely by her role in Huron's service. It's a position she excels in. Blackheart's standards are exacting, and he does not give second chances, meaning that even formerly loyal lieutenants may rebel against him or flee if they believe they have earned his ire. Should they escape, it risks broadcasting a message that betrayal has no consequences. The Enforcer ensures this never occurs. The mere mention of her title across the Maelstrom is enough to cow many pirates and mercenaries into quiescent submission to Horan's demands. Isn't this... Didn't we just read this? I'm pretty sure we read this of this dude. This is exactly what this dude's description had. Except hers sounds a bit cooler. Last thing I heard you talking about in BFG is AdMech. In tabletop, AdMech have normal boarding, but when boarded, you get to reroll their suits as most of the crew are servitors. Ooh, that's cool. Since rising into Horan's trust, the Enforcer has tracked down and mutilated lone marauders who merely spoke out against her master's excesses. She once sniffed out an entire political crew who had taken fuel and ammunition from Blackheart's caches. She stole aboard their vessel while they were in the midst of selling their loot, cracking open their outer hatches to explosively eject betrayers and black marketers alike into the void. At Gothan's Starfort, she caught up with Skolfan Sourmane, a bestial mutant whom the Enforcer had discovered was about to hand information on Blackheart's movements to an depth of the Imperial Inquisition. When she returned to Horan, she handed over the data slate Soulmane had stolen, along with a degloved hide. He was still alive when he was discovered in his own chamber. Ooh. Besides tracking failures and cowards, the Enforcer is also Horan's eyes and ears. More often than not, his mouth and his blade, amongst the Red Corsairs' numerous Xenos associates. Though she can converse with several species and uses stolen lingual fox coil with others. The Enforcer finds deeds are more efficient than words. They also never use shark assault boats, seemingly they can attack en masse, but can't do away with teams as well as regular Imperium can. Okay, can't do away teams, sorry. For this reason, she is often accompanied by a creature almost no one living has seen beyond the ground stars of the galactic east. In her language, the Enforcer refers to a beast as plunder, though she is the only one who calls it anything at all. The creature is a Bargessi, perhaps an immature specimen, though not even the Enforcer knows for sure. She first encountered it 6 light years from Helix Beta, while on a mission to hunt down a smuggler who had crossed Turin. The Bargessi took her arm before she was able to subdue it with 2 shots from her Londaxi Maimer. Since that day, the beast has been hers, taken as payment from her victim, along with a strange alien control mechanism she uses to suppress the worst of Plunder's aggressive tendencies when they are not needed. It is said that Bargessi start as small as deck vermin, spreading along ship routes before growing in sudden and random cycles until they become enormous. And with their legendary violence means a single one can wipe out an entire spaceport. The Enforcer has no intention of seeing that day, unsure as she is how long her loot control mechanism will work on the beast. One way or another, she intends to part ways with Plunder when its threat to her life becomes too great. I mean, honestly, that dog seems a bit tiny. I'd like to see a massive version of a Plunder. Except when she accompanies her master's raiders into battle, it is rare for Enforcer to do more than threaten the release of Plunder. Thanks to a long mercenary career before swearing allegiance to Blackheart, she understands the value of rumor. And knows how it spreads amongst warriors. The Enforcer was once one Xeno soldier amongst hundreds in the Get of Word Dos Harul, where they were Talarian war pack, whose former masters, part of a broader pirate cartel, were slaughtered by Horan's Red Corsairs. Believing their masters dead, the Talarians gave their expansive pledges to Blackheart. Talarians value honor and oaths with a fanatical obsession. Forced from the Get of Sahul, late to receive summons from a few ragged survivors of their former employees' cartel, they moved to abandon Horan to fulfill what they saw as unfinished mercenary obligations. The Enforcer disagreed. She saw the slight to Horan Blackheart as the most egregious of insults, and returned to a failing cartel as weakness. She began to hunt them down. The warpack broke up, scattering to dozens of worlds, the soldiers joining other mercenary groups. Over many months she killed her former comrades one by one. When she was finished, she returned to Horan Blackheart, the heads of hundreds of other Talarians, her tribute. Horan was swift to see the potential in such a loyal servant. The Enforcer was only hated for humanity. The Vtuber has only hatred for humanity, and for other aliens little but disdain. Yet she respects the strength of Horan and his Red Corsairs. In his service, moreover, the Enforcer has risen far beyond what she could have achieved amongst her own kind. She has wealth and notoriety. She also has the opportunity to hunt, maim and kill foes who spit upon honour, who defile the concept of oaths, and she has the privilege of picking over corpses for our choice trophies. She can ask no more of a harsh galaxy. Yeah, so these characters, I think they're pretty cool. The only one that I'm upset about is, like, this guy's, like, super boring. The rest of them are fine. Ooh. Cool art. Turn on this little light. Maybe I should change the settings a little bit here. Video capture device. Configure video. I was hoping to read a bit about Aeldari today. I don't think we're going to get to. Oh, look at all those bones. Look at them bones. Are they Red Corsairs? They don't look like Red Corsairs. They look more like word bearers. To me. Oh, it's a Master of Executions. He's got a big old axe. Or maybe just a Legionnaire with heavy melee weapon. I don't know. But Galmec, the Shrine of Iron. Oh, we read a little bit about that before. Deep within the Maelstrom, the demon world of Galmec is amongst the most powerful and important strongholds of the word. Oh, they were word bearers. Nice. Trait to legions. And a place of infernal industry where they fashion diabolic war engines, malevolent relics, and demon-possessed battleships. That's cool. The Glittering Void. Galmec orbits a cursed star whose state flickers between seething brightness and negative shadow, like some faulty lumen globe. Hundreds of moons swarm its systems, bare surfaces inscribed with burning runes the size of cities. Demons are bound to many of these satellites. Their bloated forms are dug into the moons like ticks, their eyes watching tirelessly for intruders, while their wet and mumbling maws whisper, or they see to conclaves of sorcerers in Galmec's sacred towers. Nor are they Galmec's only void defense. The planet lies at the heart of a glittering nebula of crystal shards, some as large as void chips, others as small as torn-off fingernails. This shroud rebuffs even the most potent augurs, preventing raiders from discovering their demon world, and parting only to permit passage to those who are welcome within the word-bearer's domain. That sounds cool. The word-bearers are one of the original traitor legions that followed War Master Horus into damnation 10,000 years ago. Arguably, Horus followed them into damnation. All of those who fell during the Dark Days. Of all those who fell during the Dark Days, they embraced the worship of Chaos Gods first, and with the greatest fervour, and they have fought on in the name of a dread pantheon ever since. For the word-bearers, Galmec is second in importance only to the demon world of Sicarius, within the Eye of Terror, where the demon primarch Logor resides. Galmec is a planet of diabolical, continent-spanning cathedrals and heretical scriptoria, where teeming masses of mutant faithful offer desperate worship to ruinous powers, and the word-bearers and gibbering demons scribe tomes of law and ritual. Zealous pilgrim face dangers beyond count to journey through to Galmec, guided by warp-sent visions and intent upon earning the fleeting regard of the dark gods. Beneath the nightmare frescoes of its twisted fame, lunatics, outcasts, and heretics raise their voices in hymn that resonate through real space and warp alike. Their devotions summon shoals of entities until the warped shadows writhe and half-seen fiends prowl between the aisles of faithful, preying on those foolish enough to glance upon as they pass. Ow! Hi, Paladin Stem! Hi, Briar! You're raiding. We're reading a book. We're reading a book. Oh. Oh. Dreamer raid. Yeah. Welcome in. I hope you've enjoyed your Mario Hearts. Is it called Mario Hearts? No, Kingdom Hearts for the DS. Ow. Throwing cheeky dinosaurs at me. Yeah, go and check out Bayer. Give her lots of love and attention. The Dot Hacker Keyblade Master. Dreamer Raid. Hello and hello, Go Mudbugs. Hello to all of you. Big love hearts. We are reading a Maelstrom book. Warhammer 40k. Lair of a Tyrant. Lair of a Tyrant. Yeah. And we're quite far through it now. We keep getting distracted. I keep talking about stuff. Hi, Mal, how you doing? I hope you enjoyed your stream. I'm Cupcake Conjuring name and profession. And now I actually look kind of like a conjurer. Look at this. Look at this. Wait a minute. Cupton, put you down. Get on your table. There you go. Yeah. Stinky raid. Stinky raid. But yeah, if you need to like rest or whatever, go and rest. Go and rest. Go and take care of yourselves. I hope you enjoyed the stream with Briar, and I hope you enjoyed this stream. Thanks for the big love. Thanks for the big love. But yeah, look at this cool art. Look at that cool art. Yeah, it's 2 AM. I go lurk. Go and sleep, Briar. Go and sleep. Oh, it's not good playing games that late. Oh, a bike. So many bikes. Why? Oh gosh, but here we go. Beneath the nightmares, frescoes, blah 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 blah. Galmec burns the dark brand of fanatical power amidst the ever-shifting firmaments of a Maelstrom. It is a warp focus of unimaginable power, and a base from which the word bearers launch raid after raid within the Maelstrom and beyond its bounds. Over time, Galmec has become more than just a stronghold for the word bearers. Faith. Long ago, its ruling council of dark apostles and demonic aristocracy while binding packs of tech magi of a dark mechanicum. So began the slow industrialization of Galmec. Infernal machinery sprouted like parasitic creations between the word bearers. Oh my gosh!
Cupcake mage.
Another mage of 3 months for 13 months. Oh my gosh! Oh my! I'm glad your magic's preserving you. Big love heart to you. Hope you have a good time here. Using your magic responsibly, I see. Except when you're throwing bikes at my head. Oh, so mean. I'm not a nerd, you're a nerd. There we go. Ow, thanks for the hull of fart. Get off my head. Get off my head. There we go. Go. Microphones stretch tendrils of iron and brass into temples and towers. Miles wide summoning circles were encased within titanic cages of binding energies and spirit pylons. Scaffolds climbed Galmec's atmospheric hell towers like iron creepers, unnatural physics of a Maelstrom allowing for dark mechanicum to raise effigies of vertiginous design. Sweltering forge mazes burrowed deep into the planet's bedrock, even as grotesque void docks spread their spars on high like hellish trees of such unimaginable size that they rendered the humans below to less than scurrying insects. Blessed by the might of a dark industry, Galmec has become a place of a word bearer's faith is industrialized and weaponized on an apocalyptic scale. Heretic raiding ships come and go from its orbital docks in their hundreds. Ancient Legion cruisers and carriers rubbing shoulders with stolen Imperial and alien vessels. Piratical warbot Aquas sparks and mutated demon ships, whose bizarre forms could not long survive beyond the succouring energies of a Maelstrom. In the entangled strata of the towers, gantries, galleries, stairwells, prayer halls, libraries, and fanes below, the power of belief is channeled into every kind of monstrous war gear. They have a lot of very running on sentences in these that make it quite hard to read sometimes. Grimoires are penned by the hundred, their pages dripping with demonic invocations to draw the dark god's favour. Talismans, weapons, and skim-shard bones by the million are imbued with supernatural energies, and relics of infernal warfare are shipped out in quantities to match the arms produced by Imperial Forge Road. Deeper still upon and below the planet's god surface, machine spirits are tormented and demon engines crafted by forge masters and chiromechs of a dark mechanicum, aided by renegade iron warriors and the best of the word-bearers warpsmiths. Down here march the Chaos Knights of the infernal house Shardy, whose indulators are trained by the tech magi of Galmec, and whose nobles style themselves as Templars of Logos true faith. Meanwhile, at every level, word-bearers patrol, preach, and keep a stern watch upon the myriad mutants and mortals who willingly work themselves to death in the countless weapon veins and mutation shrines of this fume-wreathed demon world. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Also, we've still not reached the Eldar. How far away are we? We got the Green Menace. We got these stuff. We got these stuff. Ah! So we're a few pages away from the Aeldari. We might have to do another stream just reading this to get to the Aeldari. I hope to reach them today. I mean, I did get a bit distracted. Oh, Ambush Children is a big old thing for them. They don't get an image. Like, Chaos Demons get a cool image. Night Lords get a cool image. Chaos Knights get... I wouldn't say cool image. They get an image. Heresy's many heads. Oh wait, oh no, the Ambush Children are here, never mind. Oh yeah, they new designs of the Ambush Children as well, that's cool. Cupcake, what stream are you doing tomorrow? If we go over here. If we go over here, I can show you. Smash! Add image. Add existing. Image 6, I believe. Oh my gosh, that's massive. Hi. Hi. There we go. There we go. There we go. We're doing a painting stream tomorrow. We're doing a painting stream. Yay! I forgot to scale down it, didn't I? Oh gosh, I'll be fine. And then after that, more painting, and after that, World Eater stream, and then after that, Rimworld, and after that, Rogue Trader, and after that, Warhammer Handcam, yeah! Stream. Yeah. More workforce abuse on Friday. Yep. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Smash. You like my new Smash anime? I forgot to thank Keith in my thing. Or did I thank her? I can't remember. Probably did. Wow. So it is a little surprise that within the warp-saturated Maelstrom lurk many dread forces. From conquerors in the service of the dark gods to predatory reavers who worship at the altar of murder, of unaliving and terror, for foes whose sakes the region seethes with the followers of chaos. For their own sakes the region seethes with followers of chaos. Beyond the red Corsairs who dominate the Maelstrom's warp routes, and for word bearers with their power base at Galmec, Other Chaos Space Marine forces ply for regions unpredictable tides. Lone warriors, single squads, and raiding forces claiming are vociferously rejecting for many genetic lineages. Are vociferously rejecting many genetic lineages blight these twisted reaches. Okay, for twisted reaches. Warbands of a Black Legion are known to operate from the Maelstrom. Some are independent forces, such as the Harrow Blades of Marvel trying to carve out their own realms. Others are there at Abaddon's command, preparing new fronts for his war against Terror, or despite the spoiler's supposed alliance with Horan, keeping a close eye on the Red Corsairs' operations. There are Vowbands ruled by the Thousand Sun sorcerers, such as the Menipetus of the Flux Fated, who seek to tap the Maelstrom's cyclic Gaia to halve his rituals, and the Vectoriums of a Death God whose infectious rites pulsate with a region's ebb and flow. Amongst them the Maggot Brethren, Demigouges, Petty Tyrants, and traitorous offices rule massed armies, fanatical in their devotion to the Chaos Gods, whose lives their leaders are willing to sacrifice for a portion of the spoils. There are also war herds of Felgar ravagers whose beastmen skin their prey and offer them a ritual sacrifice at the basis of menhirs of broken technology. Some of those sentences are hard to read. I don't know English well enough. Okay, for Emperor's Children, the extravagant sign of a Primarch Fulgrim are no strangers to a Maelstrom. Its changing depends on the changing depths of the accelerating diversions to the warbands of this faction legion. They revel in the breadth of corrupted worlds, the tortured warp routes and twisted assaults up on their heightened senses. Some, like Lord Valentor's Polytrific Prism, have secured demon worlds as semi-permanent bases to scour Imperial sectors, which are in striking range of a Maelstrom. Others gleefully play on the Maelstrom's denizens, enlivened by the resilience of a pirate Xenos and other heretics. Their victims' hard-won survivalist traits prolong the Emperor's Children hunts, goading Fulgrim's Gene's sons to obsessively seek to prove themselves superior to the Maelstrom's inhabitants. The Thendoric Crier, meanwhile, have embarked on an obsessive hunt. Their sorcerers and Nord cacophonies have become fixated with the sonorous resonances that threads the worlds of Mornhowl. They hunt above all of any Aeldari they can capture alive. Specimens they hope to meld into an abhorrent living amplifier to the region's psychotemporal screams. Okay, interesting. So you got different types of Emperor's Children warbands there. Some hunt Imperial worlds, some hunt the local pirates, and some hunt Eldar. Yeah. Chaos Knights. House Sharday are far from the only dread household to take an imperious territorial claim within the Maelstrom. House Fear and Cophanifis both vie with the fallen science of Sharday for the patronage of Galmek. Fear controls a trio of moons in the Nifardis system, in which prisoners toil to extract warp-corrected minerals. In which prisoners try to extract warp-corrected minerals it offers to Galmek's rulers in exchange for infernal surfaces. However, the Thanes of Warp are nearly exhausted. Fear's nobility has thus secured the services of several pirate fleets to hunt out new caches. They have recently fought wars of acquisition with several kin prospects. Oh, they've been fighting some of the Photon. Leagues of Photon here. Dread Bay pilots meanwhile stalk the worlds of the region, like towering carrion lords amongst the morass of renegade mercenaries. Few of the Maelstrom's Dreadblades marshal alongside one another. Many instead enter into soul-blinding pacts with other warbands of the Chaos Servants. Still, there are those whose arrogance is so towering that they will fight for no other spite and jealousy saturating their bones. What's this? Wait, still? There are those whose arrogance is so towering that they will fight for no other spite and jealousy saturating their thrones mechanicum. Instead, they amass a cult-like armies of humans and mutant worshippers who fight at their feet. Beorlisk of Gar and the Night Crone are two such Chaos Knights, seen as semi-defying gargantuans by the wretched throngs who clamour for their favour. Okay. So, not all the Chaos Knights are trying to seek the favour of Galmec. The Night Lords! The Night Lords! Yeah! Predatory warbands are sadistic and cruel Night Lords amongst the most powerful and elusive threats to those within the Maelstrom. Even for Red Corsairs. Despite Blackheart's attempts at empire building and dominion, a warband known as Skintwixt. Twixt! Oh, I love Twixes! And the Shadow Barons Get have attacked many of the holdfasts and have also butchered piratical flotillas along the Red Corsairs' favoured transit routes. In response, Horan has placed extortionate bounties on the Night Lords' heads. After the first mercenary captains to try and claim the prize were discovered, peeled open and stitched back together in excruciating new forms, few others have attempted the hunt. Other Night Lords indulge their obsessions amongst the Maelstrom's planetary populaces. Survival in the Gaia is a nightmarish struggle in the face of extreme hardships, and such conditions are an inviting canvas of the gene sons of a Night Haunter. Lord Follis Prussian and the Reaver known as Cathar terrorize the Great Legion in particular. In competing cycles of harm and pain, their warbands employ psychotraumatic arrays and commit raids amongst artificial eclipses. Of late, they have stoked rival sellers' cults only to whip away their victims' faith and gleefully revel in the resulting panic and anarchy. Okay, this is cool. Often you don't see the Night Lords written in such a way that the area they're in, they are a significant power base and threat. They're kind of just more of just raiders. But in a area where everyone is just raiders, they are considered extremely powerful, even to the Red Corsairs and Huron. That's interesting. I like that. And not just because I collect Night Lords. Chaos Demons. Although it would be nice to get more of an idea of their numbers. Do their numbers rival the Red Corsairs? Do they have significant power base there? Do they raid out into the Maelstrom and have a power base elsewhere? I mean, one of them obviously has a power base in the Legions. But whatever. Chaos Demons. The Maelstrom has echoed the cackle of demons of the screams of their playthings for as long as it has existed. Demonic invasions of imperial worlds beyond its growing borders have become more frequent since the Great Rift tore open. The gore-splattered host of Karagosh Bloodboil thundered a path of destruction from its depths when they annihilated the Ragmar system. The Pyre Hunters of Sinch, meanwhile, is said to haunt the Maelstrom, with the infernal host's sorcerous fires being claimed by insane prophets to be the spume atop the most violent of the region's tidal surges. Its Dark Lord, Trodastul, Bane of Obfuscane. These are hard to read words, use the most destructive bars of a Maelstrom to grind open immense rifts. paving the way for its capering legion to pour into planetary strongholds and weaken spars of the webway. Ooh, the webway. And there are the fester gloom of the Bilgemeyer Undertow, which blight the constant mobile pirate fleets of the region and use them to spread throughout the Maelstrom and beyond. The Bilgemeyer Undertow in particular are especially feared by Voidbearers. The infestation begins as auditory delusions, knocking reverberations in the fabric of a vessel's depth. The ceaseless noises steal sleep and invaders' nightmares until Undertow demons finally rise from the ship's soup-like biogas. Ugh. Okay, Renegade Rigging. It is claimed by some of Horan's warriors and enemies alike that his red Corsairs bear upon their war gear the crimson of the enemy's blood and the black of their heart's bitterness, as well as gilding and trophies that speak of long lifetimes of plundering the Maelstrom. This is a brotherhood bound in selfish treachery and displayed in stolen wealth. Okay, so we got different types of red Corsairs. Rather than the icon worn by most red Corsairs, some of those pledged to Horan's services instead display a sigil unique to their warband. These may be the personal symbols of a reeve captain or chaos lord, invocations to demonic patrons, or dread signs known across entire subjects to pretend cruel raids. A former ultramarine, Scarthus the Damned, has long since obliterated all loyalist insignia. A former ultramarine! This guy is the most powerful person in this entire book. If he took off his helmet, no one stands a chance. Scarthus the Damned. Like many red Corsairs, Scarthus's power armor is remotely patchwork of stolen scavenged or trophy pieces of various marks, ancient and far more recent alike. These have been modified by Horan's wroughsmiths or allied tech magi of Dark Mercurium, ritually breaking the machine spirits of each element to reforge them into a chimeric whole. You know, I like how you just had a random just named ultramarine added into the red Corsairs. It's beautiful. And he gets a little description and everything. Worship of the dark gods is sparse among Scarthus's warband, but he has nonetheless added an 8-pointed sigil to his greave. Such markings are said to draw entities' gaze to a warrior's deeds, and Scarthus is eager to grasp any route to power amongst his treacherous peers. Power he feels was denied amongst his former loyalist brothers. So that means next time we get an update to the Maelstrom and stuff, Scarthus over here is going to be the new Horan. We're just going to get like a random sentence of Scarthus killed Horan, that's it, he took over. That'd actually be hilarious if something like that happened, like he became an important character. Horan Blackheart's rule the red Corsairs with an iron fist, a fact that is reflected in the icon borne by many of his warriors. He and the leaders of his warband impose no convention on their warriors' heraldry. Thus, red Corsairs sport armour in varying combinations of the typical red and black. Some of their warriors, often recent inductees into Horan's service, still bear elements of their formal heraldries. To varying degrees, these will be defaced with ragged bands of new colours. Imperial insignias will be gouged through. Individual armour plates once bearing sculpted honours will be replaced. Together with the red Corsairs' piratical trappings of plunder, catches of personal weapons and trophies torn from victims, these raiders possess a feral menace. A green menace! A feral menace goes straight into a green menace, raiding the Gaia. The Maelstrom is known for the warbands that attack neighbouring systems from its depths, yet some aliens actively launch raids into this region. Drukhari fleets plague isolated forts and vulnerable shipping lanes. Fair. Raiding for webway spurs to spread terror and pain before disappearing of plunder and captives. Meanwhile, some kin leagues will take considerable risk on the trail of semi-corporeal ores and pseudo-energistic harvests found nowhere else. Interesting. I wonder if we're going to have some information about the Drukhari in here. Because it has mentioned the Drukhari a couple of times, but it's not had a dedication to them. Doesn't look like it. Okay, the Green Menace. Arcs proliferate across the galaxy. Oh my god, those are some flashy gits. Some flashy gits. Oh, guy, he has a little not blood. He's a death skull. It's a death skull. He's got blue, and blue. It's not very clear on the camera, but he's got a bunch of blue stuff. It's like one of our dudes. Oh, we love the death skulls. My models are death. My arcs are death skulls. Arcs proliferate across the galaxy. Their robust physiques, uncomplicated psyches, and ingrained technological talents have allowed him to thrive in even the most hostile environments. Despite its many warp-spawned perils, the Maelstrom is no exception to this rule. To Arcs, life is about finding and enjoying the next good fight. As such, Arc society is geared to roaming from one world to the next in search of these fights. Amidst the challenging conditions of Maelstrom, this is no easy feat, leading many of them to adopt an especially nomadic lifestyle. But Arc thrives in the Gaia, who do maintain strongholds, of course. Death Skull warlord Snickmech for Death Skull, yeah! And his hordes have infested what they have named the Wrecker's World, a planet anchored at the confluence of numerous empiric rapids, whose supernatural tides spite out crippled void ships, swept violently, of course. That makes sense for where they would want to be. Boys and lads, gits and grots, yeah, love me a Death Skull. I wonder if the Beast Men will get a section, if that would oh, they did get a tiny bit of a section, not their own dedicated section, but over here they had a small paragraph. There are warhords of Felgor Ravagers whose beastmen skin their prey and offer them as ritual sacrifices at the bases of menhirs of broken technology. That is the closest we've gotten to a dedicated section, which is about as much as the Dark Eldar have in here. But Ultramarines get a Chaos character with an entire paragraph to himself. With 2 paragraphs to himself, rather. Snickmech and his hordes infested this place. Oh yeah, delighting at this scavenger's paradise, Snickmech and his lads raised a colossal scrap forts across the planet's surfaces and looted orbiting wrecks to create an enormous raiding fleet. That's basically exactly what Horven has kind of done. Yeah. Have we got something? Love my beastie boys. Yeah! There have been a couple of mentions of a Felgor otherwise, but that's like the biggest soul mention of them. Where's this? Enormous. Since then, the Wrecker fleets have struck throughout and beyond the Maelstrom, while the flow of stricken vessels spat from the warp into Snickmech's grasp ensures that any losses are quickly replaced. That's cool. So it's very similar to Horven's position in the Maelstrom. Because we read before, last stream that we did this, his home region had like ships being spat into it, and then he kept in a hidden part of it like loads and loads of ships, including his Black Fortress. Other settled tribes can be found in the Maelstrom's most stable region, of the warbands that inhabit the string of fortress moons known as Mork's Tusks, to Warclaw hordes. the boundaries of whose territories are guarded by crude idols carved from suspiciously warp-repellent black stones. Oh, does that mean that were originally Necron stones, or do you think the orcs just figured out how to make stones like the black pylons? However, many orcs inhabiting the Maelstrom live as freebooters. These are orcs pirates outcast from various tribes who roam the stars aboard ramshackle fleets of lumbering battleships and pugnacious cruisers. Unusually for orcs, freebooters enjoy the selfish hoardings of wealth for its own sake almost as much as a punch-up. They'll mercilessly plunder shipping routes and supply caches, and delight in picking on smaller warbands of enemies.
You're just jealous we're the Beastie Boys. You gotta fight for your right to party.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, fight for your right to party, Cuptle. Come here, Cuptle. There you go, grabbed you. I grabbed you. Now you can't party. Not without me. Yeah. Tastes like turtle. They will mercilessly plunder shipping routes and supply caches and delight in picking on smaller warbands of enemies who, while able to fight, aren't strong enough to prevent the freebooters from robbing them blind. Such behaviour brings the orcs into direct conflict with Huron Blackheart and his Red Corsairs. For one thing, the freebooters choose many of the same victims as the renegades. For another, the logistical efforts of coordinating and supplying Blackheart's empire from Vagaia is tremendous, so every unexpected variable undermines carefully laid plans. Several thousand bellowing orc pirates thundering out of nowhere to that Catholic amidst a raiding party definitely constitutes an unexpected variable. As a result, Blackheart rewards those of his reeve captains who exterminate especially troublesome orc pirates. This has seen running wars of raid and ambush between Red Corsairs and such infamous freebooter captains as the Black Star Bandits and Captain Gold Tusk Git Stompers. I've heard of Gold Tusk Git Stomper before, yet of all the orc pirate kings to menace the Maelstrom, none is more famed than Admiral Sun Smasher. Never heard of him. Sounds like he could be a Tau. Who Arc Legend has once extinguished a star with his right hook from his gilded power claw. Sun Smasher has taken it upon himself to antagonize Blackheart at every turn. It is the good Admiral's belief that if he can defeat the biggest boss in the Maelstrom, he will rule the Gaia. And here we go. We got stuffs. Still taste of turtle noted. Yep. I just want Chaos and Arcs and Armageddon again. Let me fight some Gits as a Steel Legion DW. They are an Armageddon. There's just no Steel Legion left in Armageddon. Wait, did you turn me into a cat? Why have I got cat ears all of a sudden? Hide them, cat ears. Yeah. Wait, no, for poking out the hat. No. I like how I added a tail to this model and you just will never see the tail. No, everything is Krieg now. Yeah. I mean, I don't really mind that too much, to be honest. It's not exactly like... There's like 5,000 Steel Legion fans who might buy Steel Legion. But that's not a lot of fans to buy Steel Legion. Compared to like... I don't think Steel Legion were even popular in the metal. Like, compare it to Feustrin, who got multiple metal heavy weapon teams, multiple special weapon teams, command squads, characters, and, you know, for infantry. And compare that to the Steel Legion, who basically got one squad of guys. Steel Houston used to get sealed artillery pieces. Did they get artillery pieces? I don't remember them having anything like that. I just want like an upgrade kit for Cadians or something. Yeah, I mean, it could be cool to get an upgrade kit for them. There's rumour Mardians might be getting a new upgrade thing with Adepticon coming up. But Steel Legion are the least likely to get an upgrade kit anytime soon, simply because they just had Krieg come out. And Krieg are, you know, also gas mask wearers with big old coats and other artillery and stuff like that. Your ears are gone. They are
Cupcake,
gone.
your ear are gone.
They are gone. What happened? Do we only... I think Meow only lasts for a short time. Or does it last for a short time? Maybe I accidentally pressed the button that moved them away. We had Basilisk with fully traversing turrets, for example. I don't remember Steel Legion having their own dedicated stuff like that. Maybe they did and I'm crazy. But yeah, you just don't like the Krieg shoulder pads. Makes sense, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if we'd ever get Steel. I imagine we might eventually get Steel Legion stuff. But I don't think Steel Legion were ever super popular. Like, I don't think they're ever a big seller. Like, Krieg, despite being Forge World, sold incredibly well. That's why they kept making more Forge World Krieg stuff. And then, it's one of the reasons they brought it into plastic, even before giving Catachan some new plastic stuff. Foistrans, I imagine, are probably going to get plastic stuff. In fact, we've already been, like, teased a little bit with, like, the Grot getting a Foistran model. Mardian look like they might come into plastic because of how key they've been to much of the lore recently. Three Cadians and Tillans all have shoulder pads. Yeah. It makes sense. Captain Sargato directs Herven's elite raiders into the heart of Cardinal von Bayer's venerable debts. Okay. Whatever. Ooh, fiends. Night Lords versus Red Corsairs and Slaneshi go dudes. Yeah. And then we're down to the Eldar Corsairs, which I think we're going to have to do on another stream. But look at that art. That's super cool art. Oh, love our Corsairs. But yeah. I hope to get to the Aeldari Corsairs sooner, but there doesn't seem to be a line here. That looks like there's just random tape. I think it's meant to just look like random tape. Give me my long coats. Yeah, I'm not sure if... Oh, wait. Before we do anything. Next week, what's coming out? Ooh, the new Doctors of Cain stuff. The new Doctors of Cain Armored Warriors. The Shrine of Dark Tribute. Melusia for Iron Scale. Looks pretty cool. Regiment of Renown. New Shadow Coven Spearhead. Looks pretty cool. I like that model. This cool model. Look at that. New Battle Force. Battle Force barely looks big, better than the Spearhead. Ooh, the dice look kind of cool. And ooh, Battle Tome Sylvaneth as well. Oh, the Grove Guardian. Beautiful model. Ranch Rich. Regiment of Renown. New Spearhead that has none of the new models in. Battle Force, which is identical to like the other Battle Forces have released. It's like they're just releasing the same Battle Force over and over again. What the heck? I saw it pointed out that Krieg miniatures were originally recolored Steel Legion, so it's hard, kind of gone full circle. It has. At the moment, it doesn't look like GW has any desire to make Steel Legion. It's too close to the release of the Krieg to release another gas mask group. You can always recolor Krieg. One of the things I've noticed about the Krieg models is that their coats are not attached to the legs. You can trim down the coats if you want to. You can trim down the little lip of their hat and like the Imperial thing on it. And you'll get something very close to a Steel Legion. Main issue is the last gun, in my personal opinion. Alternatively, you can always just get just buy from a secondary supplier, some Steel Legion looking heads and just put them on Cadian bodies. There's a lot of things that you can do to make Steel Legion looking models. Compare this to Mordian Iron Guard, Valhallans, Talon, not Attilan Rough Riders, because you can always just buy Rough Riders and use the spare heads on some Cadian bodies. But compare it to Valhallan, Foistran, Talon, Gaunt's Ghosts, Chemdogs, and the Mordian Iron Guard. Making something that looks like Steel Legion is very, very easy. Making something that looks like the others is very, very hard. So I imagine for others are much more higher priority, especially considering just how popular Foistran are compared. How titular the Mordians have been recently in lore seems quite important. And how well the Foistran sold and they were just metal models. Both makes me think that we're going to see them before we'll ever see Steel Legion. So yeah. I think I'm just mad they introduced my boy Yavik without his army. Like orcs without their boys. For a long time you could buy the Yavik miniature, but you couldn't buy the Steel Legion miniature. And it was very rare to ever see Yavik with their actual Steel Legions. Like I saw the Yavik miniatures, the old ones. Especially the more recent one before this one. Quite a lot of times. I never saw him with Steel Legion. I don't think I ever saw a Steel Legion model in IRL outside of like Games Day. And this passed back when they still sold some of them. I usually just saw him in charge of Cadians. And occasionally Kriegsmen. So I think that's one of the reasons why they didn't get released. It's like Gaskell Thacker came out for new model and they didn't get new Mega Orcs knobs, which you'd expect with Gaskell Thacker. Instead, he's got these tiny, weird-looking Mega knobs. They're pretty cool models, but definitely show the age next to Gaskell. Could get the Rorks, Drift Legion, Praetorians, I believe they were called. Maybe. Maybe. If a Steel Legion have been reduced in numbers and territory, they might not have access to the factories. So they'd probably have Krieg equipment to their own planet. There's a good chance that the equipment they are equipped with has changed. Not just to Krieg equipment, but probably Cadians. Because don't forget, Cadian equipment is the standard long before the idea of, you know, the Eye of Terror and the destruction, well, not before the Eye of Terror, but before the destruction of Cadia. There was already the idea that Cadians were across many worlds, training up new legions, and the standard equipment of the regiment, and the standard equipment of the Cadians was the standard equipment of the Astra Militarum. And the vast majority of regiments in the Astra Militarum used Cadian equipment, and most of them used the Cadian way of warfare, you know, how they were organized, how they were trained, how they fought. Nowadays, you've got this idea that the Krieg exist on many planets now and are also training up regiments in a similar way. And Catachan are the same. That's like the most recent addition to the laws. So it's very likely that if they are struggling for their own factories and stuff and they're getting support from other Forge worlds, that on Armageddon, most of the Steel Legion might just be dressed as Cadians with gas masks. Oh, by the way, dear, speaking of Krieg and Steel Legion, for years I never realised that Krieg and Steel Legion were two different factions. I thought the Death Corps, you know, Rough Rider guys, the Death Riders were Steel Legion. I didn't realise that they were Krieg. I thought they were just the same thing. But for quite a while, I mean, I was just a little kid, mind you, so... I wasn't paying that much attention to Guardsmen. Most of the Guardsmen I paid attention to were Foistran, Valhallan, and Cadian and Catachan. Although I did like the Krieg artillery and the Krieg horses. I've had realised when I was looking into them more that they were separate from the Steel Legion. I was like, oh. If Steel Legion have lost her production capacity, then Armageddon would have fallen. Potentially. Although, don't forget that Armageddon is one of the most well-supplied worlds in terms of, like, forge worlds that also supply it. Military forces that supply it, and, you know, other things. It could also just be that they changed their production to more standard Imperial stuff, so that it could be, you know, easier changed. I don't think that's the case, otherwise they would have mentioned that. They would have just actually mentioned rather than just there's less of them now. So it's most likely that they still use the exact same gear as before. It's just you know, modern versions of it. It's just that there's not many of the defenders left. The current defenders are outnumbered by the foreign defenders. Just don't like it. I might just be being baby, but I really like to see the Steel Legion in the new aesthetic. A Talon kit would be cool. I need the Camel Riders. Oh, yeah, they had resin models. So it is possible that they might come out next after the Mardian of the Foistran. Because they do seem to be focusing more on replacing resin models than metal models, which is probably another reason why the Steel Legion are far behind. It might be that with Yarrick's... Don't forget, with Yarrick's release, with every single major release they've done so far, not every single one, but a lot of them, they have done made-to-orders at the same time of old models. For instance, with the Maelstrom, we got Captain Badrook and the Pirate Grots. It is possible when they release Yarrick's model, they will do made-to-order Steel Legion. I imagine that would very likely be the case, especially with people being a bit upset about it. So, if you want your Steel Legion, be ready to get from made to order. It just doesn't look like they're planning for a re-release in plastic anytime soon, and they don't want to release the metal models as a permanent thing. Also, the models were never popular enough, I believe, to get Finecast treatment. So there's that. Yeah, you have to realise that they are a business. They're not going to just release new kits and stuff if they don't think they can sell them. Or if they don't think they can sell enough of them to expand their production capacity to also produce those kits. Because Games Workshop, even with new factories, is still struggling to meet production capacity because they're just expanding the ranges. One of the next model range will be a refresh of the Astartes. Again, yes. Well, the Armageddon pattern was a resin upgrade. I've posted pictures to the Discord. Ooh. Oh yeah, I know that they had Armageddon pattern equipment, but I don't know if they had, like... They're pretty cool. Yeah. Catachan are probably going to be the next kill team though, so yeah, I think Catachan will be the next. I expected Catachan would be the next ones to get a range refresh, but there are rumours now of it being Mardi and Iron Guard, which would be cool. It would be cool. When Kundra looks to the side, her nose goes missing. Oh no, my nose. Well, now I'm going to have to go back to my old model and get this one redone. I'm joking, I'm joking. I know, maybe As far as I'm aware, there's no intention at any time soon of making Steel Legion. It is something we might get eventually, but it's most likely we're just going to get a made-to-order with Yavik. I very much imagine a made-to-orders coming. If it's not, then I can understand people being upset. But if there's a made-to-order with Yavik, that would be cool. But anyway, let's go through. Oh, those are cool looking dice. There's a different colour to dice we normally see. Queen of a Rose Throne. Ooh. Oh, Shade of Canes gets a new reprint. Or is this just something they announced ages ago and it's now coming out? Oh no, this is new, I guess then. I guess they just announced it ages ago. Yeah, so new stuff's coming out next week. Thankfully, nothing I'm interested in buying, so my wallet is safe. My purse is safe. Every like is 1 more centimetre given to Conjurer's nose. No, my real life nose is big enough. Hi, Nico. It's me who took her nose, sorry. Oh gosh. They could do an upgrade sprue to replace the heads and Krieg miniatures. I think if they did an upgrade sprue, the Caden sprue might be better for the Steel Legion with a new head and new last. I think in either case you would want new last guns of the upgrade sprue to the Armageddon pattern, because the Armageddon pattern last gun is really, really cool. That's like the one thing I'm kind of sad about. Nico, got your nose. It costs extra until then. Cupcake Voldemort. I mean, I do have a nose. You can still see it. You can still see the tip. I'm gonna be in the next World War before Steel Legion comes out, possibly. It might be another 50 years, you never know. Definitely some heart, arms and legs. You don't need Steel Legion. You should be for Steel Legion. Yeah. Of their coats. So their coats. Yeah. Yeah. I very much expect they'll be coming to made to order. And we'll only find out when it's just this next week. Or whatever. What's coming in next week? Or Adepticon might announce that they're doing made to order Steel Legion. And I doubt the made to order Steel Legion will be in response to fans being angry. I imagine they just plan to do that anyway, like they do with many other models. Made to order models. So yeah. Dying Eternal will be spitting. You don't need Steel Legion. You should be the Steel Legion. Yeah. If I don't do the made to order, I'll be upset, but honestly, I'm still more upset that we got rid of a bunch of the old Eldar models and they didn't get Dark Eldar ones, and they've not given us the new Dark Eldar models. Like my Grotesques. Where's my Grotesque Games Workshop? Where's my Xenos? Where's my Where's my Snake People? I want my Snake People Games Workshop. I know you know how to make Snake People. You're releasing a bunch next week. Give me my Snake Xenos. With 6... Is it 6 arms or is it 4 arms? I forget. But either way, thank you for coming to the stream. Me about to go over trenches in World War III for the Emperor. It will be the most devastating charge of a whole war. Devastating for you. Smash! Take that! But here's the schedule for next week. Schedule for next week. We're playing Rogue Trader. We're playing Rogue Trader, yeah! We've got Warhammer Handcam, Rimworld, Building of World Eaters. I have been, you know, very interested in not Rogue Trader, Back to Fleet Gothic, so I might decide to change the stream to that randomly. But with that, thank you for coming to the stream today. Remember to work hard but play harder. And big love heart to you all. Yick! I hope you have a good rest of your day. Eat good food, sleep well, take care of yourself, be kind to others and vice versa. And don't eat cupcakes because cupcakes are friends, not food. Bye bye everyone. Well, how do I end again? Whee! Oh no, don't go up, do I? I just smashed you in the face. I forgot about that. I have to change how I do my outro. Love you all anyway. Kunja would rather eat garlic than not stream 5 handcam. It's only 4 handcam streams next week, maybe.